Hello and welcome to JATV Raw Friday Night Boxing. My name is Jamie O'Neill, and in this massive episode we will be speaking to Rob Roy boxers Jake Limond, Drew Limond and Adam Lyon. We also have an extended version of JATV Raw Friday Night Boxing with our Kynoch Boxing Gym special. We'll be speaking to the coaches from Glasgow City Boxing, as well as some of the boxers and the professional boxers and Mr. Sam Kynoch himself. So stay tuned. If you don't manage to see the whole live stream or you want to share it later, you can watch it on www.jatvscotland.com. So here is my first 3 interviews with the Rob Roy boxers. So I'm joined with Mr. Jake Limond.
Alright, how are you?
I'm good, man. We're in here early. I'm not really an early kid, so it's really early for me, but you normally up this early?
Aye, see with school and that, my brother starts nursery at like 8 o'clock, so I'm up at like 7 o'clock getting ready for school.
So school's just recently started back, well, so boxing started back after a long break, but have you managed to do some training?
Aye, I've been doing hundreds of training. I'm as fit as I've ever been, you know. Good weight, just feeling strong in that.
Have you went up or down weights?
No, I've been like, well, I started off like quite heavy. I was like a wee fat guy, and I had my first fight about 2 years ago, and I was like, right, I asked my coach what weight should I box at, and he's like, well, he just basically told me you're too fat to fight. So he said if I got down to 70 kilos, right, I was like 5'4" or something, he's like 70 kilos, and I can fight, so 40, 70, and then I went down to 60 like the next year, and then I just like moved up to 63, and I'm fighting at 64 this year.
You've had fights last year and the beginning of this year, just before the lockdown. So you're lucky because some boxers never managed to have any. So remind us, what were you doing? What competition you been fighting in?
I got a chance to fight in the Westerns, and I got beaten in the semi-finals in that. If a boy for the barn, Sean Hughes, he was quite good. He was a big strong boy, and I fought and I won the Scottish as well. I beat a boy for the barn, and then I beat a boy that beat me before, Corey Rizza.
How does that feel when you go back and you beat somebody?
It was a good feeling. Like, see, because the year before in the Scottish final he beat me, and I was like, I was just gutted after it. I was like, no chance, man. And they ended up fighting him again. And me and Corey were quite sound with each other. We're no, like, there's no malicious.
Is that important? Like, because a lot of boxers maybe they see each other outside the gym, see each other at other shows and stuff. So is it important to try and keep like friendships and outside the ring, and then?
It's not really important, I'd say. But like, see, I'm just like, I don't have any like, I don't like him after fighting him. So people like they fight somebody like pure hate him, pure. I just like if I see Sean at like fights and that, and I've messaged him a few times. I see Corey, like, I'll talk to him. It's just don't like being like, distant from him because he fights. It's quite daft.
So we had Leo Church and Jasmine Parnaise on last week, and they were talking about their social media accounts and how they get their TikTok views and Instagram views. Are you into that sort of stuff?
I don't do any TikTok and that. No, I don't. I'm not into that. I've only got like Instagram and Snapchat and that, but I only use Instagram like to post stuff about fighting basically all the time. I get moaned at off a few of my pals saying that it's just my Instagram page is basically a boxing page at this point.
See, that's why we set up. I mean, JTV Raw set up because that's where JTV, which now all our shows are on, but JTV Raw was only for boxing. Because people were like messaging, going, we're not interested in boxing, and I was doing more boxing stuff. So I was like, right, let's have a separate page which is just for boxing and maybe just for boxing fans, like in Scotland. So that's the whole idea of how. So I know what my pals are saying the same. Like I forced them into, like last Friday our show went out. I forced them to go on and watch it, and they're just like, Jamie, we appreciate what you're doing, but we're not really interested in what people are going to say about boxing. But so I get your pal's point. But boxing must be a big thing in your family. I was saying like it must be quite tough on your mum. We have more boxers and having to be in more fights and even more money. It costs a bit to be a pro.
I think it's a clean up. She moans about the most. Me and Drew come in for the gym, wraps line about and that. She's always moaning having to wash them.
Does she know how to put the wraps on?
Aye. So also she'd be doing it with like my dad, like when he was like 20. So she knows a thing or two about
So do you get? I was going to try and stay with it because I can imagine that's like all you said you didn't mind, but do you get a lot of encouragement for your dad?
My dad has a lot of training ways and that, and also I take inspiration from him, like just watching his fight through the years and looking at who he's fought, like fighting Eric Morales in front of 50,000 people in Mexico City. It's like stuff you want to do when you're a professional, but just training with him, like just seeing him in daily life, it's good. It's just
you and your brother, both of you seem quite grounded, so it's like it's sometimes you obviously I meet boxers and we were talking about a few of them, but sometimes they can be a bit arrogant and come across a bit lacking this. But you are quite respectful of your opponent. Does that come for your dad, or is that just how your family is in general?
It's just how we're in general, to be honest. Like even if I don't know, actually, to be honest, like I obviously have seen my dad in press conferences, like never says anything bad about his opponent, and me and Drew never talk bad about anybody.
It's good because you see a lot of boxers that have that mentality seem to go far. Like boxers that respect the sport, respect their opponents, and respect their trainers. They seem to go very far. So we said you're back at school, but boxing started back this week. Have you had a chance to go to the gym yet?
Aye, we started back on Monday. Aye, it was Monday we started.
Sure,
back.
Rob Roy.
Aye, it was Rob Roy. It's a good gym. We only joined summer last year, but since we started, we've been gelled right in with everybody in that. Couple of pals.
A lot of people that I speak to got Rob Roy say that because there's so many, they've got quite a big boxing camp. So that means that you get the opportunity to do more sparring and stuff. But obviously, it's just coming back from lockdown. There's no sparring. So, what sort of things are going on in the gym? What else can you do other than sparring? And like, has it changed a bit how like the focus on training?
Mainly, it's like we do more circuit stuff now. A lot of us used to do with fitness and just try to get us like sharp again, back up to like before lockdown. Some bag work and that, and skipping. But so nothing too extreme yet. Are
you hoping that competitions come back before the end of the year? Like
I really want them to be back.
I think a lot of boxers are like just desperate just to get back in and do the hang in the ring and stuff, because it's been that much a gap. Even I was saying this in football when Bayern and Barcelona players, I was like, sometimes these players like they've probably no kept up as much training and stuff like that when they've been away. And then all of a sudden, two teams that haven't seen each other in months and months and months, one just absolutely wrecks the other. So in boxing, I can imagine is some people will be at a better position than others, depending on how strict they've been with the routine. But being in a boxing family, I can imagine like it must be quite different. You're on social media, but do you play like gaming and that, or is boxing just your?
On the Xbox all the time, man.
I get
a gaming PC soon as well. But most of the time it is just boxing. Like, we'll come in for school and then we need to train, or we end up going running and all that. But whenever I get a chance, I'm on the Xbox, my mates.
So I think I've filmed one or two of your fights. But we met. That's the reason you're here, is because I'm banged into you in Buchanan Street. It was on my scooter.
You're on your scooter thing.
I just started going with Buchanan Street, so I'm literally like, people see me like just flying about in this scooter. I've had a few injuries for just turning corners too quick and smacking into people. But you've got
the wee chain.
Aye. So where'd that come from?
I've had this I got that the day I was born off one of my dad's pals, and it's just like wellness.
So you're the oldest brother?
I am the oldest.
So you had no choice in the matter, you got to be a boxer?
No, right. So I started boxing when I was like really young, right? And my dad was just obviously just training my dad, that nothing too serious. And then just because I've been doing it for so long, I was like, I don't even like boxing. So I ended up just stopped boxing, put on hundreds of weight, became like a wee fat guy. And seeing that I got to that point where I was like really fat, and I was like, I need to do something. Started training again, and I never ate right, so I was still like, I was obese. And then I got to the point where I was like, right, I want to fight. I do want to fight. So I asked my coach, get down to 70 kilos and you can fight. But I've been.
Was it tough?
It was the start. Right, it was quite tough because I'd never done anything like it before. Like try and lose like a lot of weight, because I was like 76 or something. Right, it's only a stone, right? But for a wee guy at 14, that was quite a lot. And then lost it, and then I grew, and I had to get down to 60, so I had to lose more weight. And I find it easy now. It's here to like, lose weight, and that I find it easy now because I've been doing it for so long. But at the time, it was like really tough.
So how old are you?
I'm 16.
16. So, like, I'm 33, so I'm like double your age. But I can imagine being that age, like there's sometimes lots of pressure coming through other places. But if you give yourself the pressure, then that's probably always the best. You're motivating yourself, and if you're passionate about something, and you prove like. But there'll be other people out there that maybe were in the position you were in. Maybe they're a bit heavier. Maybe they get even picked on and that for the weight. So you're just the walking example of what you can achieve. You can stick your mind to it. The thing that I love about boxing is that anybody can. You go into boxing gyms and there's all people, all sizes, all shapes, all religions, all genders, whatever. So you always find a place in the boxing gym. But have you found that? You remember the first time you ever walked into a boxing gym?
I was obviously so young, but I remember training with my dad, and when I say train, I was just like punching the bags and that. But Peter Hart, no, it wasn't even Peter Hart. It was Billy Nelson's gym. I must have been about 3 or 4 or something. And then I went to Rob Roy. That was just like carrying on a wee bit. Then I went to Rob Roy when I was about 10. About 10, 9 or 10, and done that for like a year. Then we went to Dennis de McNair and done that for like another year, and then that's when I was like, right, I don't want to box anymore. I don't like it because I was like unfit in that, and it wasn't enjoyable. And then came back to boxing, went back to Dennis de McNair, had a few fights for them, and then here at Rob Roy now. So
do you think you need to sometimes go through that phase of coming away from boxing to maybe appreciate it more, or like as you said, when growing up, I mean, you've seen boxing gyms for a very young age. It's probably somewhere where you're always going to feel comfortable in because you're just that used to them. So do you think that sometimes, like if you come away from boxing, that do you appreciate it more now that you're back?
I think it just depends on who you're. Like for me, like I appreciate it like much more now, but because obviously I was at a point where I hated it. Like I didn't want to like fight, didn't want to train at all. I was like looking for stupid excuses to miss training, and then now I actually look for excuses to go to training and that. And my pals are like, "Oh, do you want to do something like can I go training tonight?" Like I love it like 100 times more. It's brilliant.
Is that hard to like sacrifice some of the because I know you have to make big sacrifices for like some of the stuff that your mates maybe be doing at 16 years old.
Aye.
Like want to go to parties, want to like talk to lasses and stuff, and you maybe can't always get the time to do it if you're training.
It's not that hard, right? Because see, my pal Ryan, right, he's like into fitness and that. He used to be quite a heavy set boy as well, and I started training. He's like, right, I'm going to do it with you. So I get to hang out with my pals, just training, going to the gym, running. My pal Reese as well, go runs with him and that. And most of the time as well, I don't go out in that. I don't drink. I've never drank in my life. It doesn't appeal to me at all. I'll go out sometimes, right, but never drink and end up just going home pure early because I just think it's rotten.
Do you ever spar with your brother? He's sitting right there,
but don't actually talk about that.
Because like, you seem quite close. And you've got another wee brother as well.
Aye, but I've got a wee sister as well.
Aye,
but that's like my dad's wean, my brother's my mom's wean.
So did you put boxing gloves on in the house?
Well, me and Drew sparred in the gym a few times, and sparred in different gyms.
He's the same weight.
Well, he's only like 2 kilos lighter than me, or something like that. But I used to be like a fair bit bigger than him, like not even that long ago. And he took a mad growth spurt, and I was like, he's getting a bit too big, man. Need to chin him one before he gets too wide. But I've sparred him a few times, and you can tell. See, like when he was a bit weird and that, I could just like put my hand out and like he couldn't like hit me. And no, man, it's like
it's payback.
He's like, man, he's got something against me. You're hitting me with bombs and all that.
Do you think one day maybe see two of you fighting each other like professionally?
No chance. I'm not fighting him as a pro. He'll be about 6'6" when he's older.
I think you can tell if there's a wee brother.
He's about the same size as me, man. Mental.
But I think there's a lot of young boxers that are massive. Like between 14 and 16. Mm-hmm. Like even you, I don't think I think it's the maybe your diet, your focus, the gym and that maybe all impacts it, where you just become bigger. Which is good, obviously, but it's you see, it's the bad side is I was speaking to both Shazman and Leo about this, is that the perception for other people is that this guy's a boxer, or I think I could take him, and that shite you're going to come across at some point. But Shazman was saying his boxing helps him sort of be a bit more disciplined and know how to deal with situations, because you don't have that fear, and that's what sometimes people are looking for. But do you find that sometimes, like, you stay in Glasgow?
Aye.
So growing up in Glasgow, it's like, I'm from Drumchapel, so it's like, I keep saying that, like, because it always comes up in conversation. But when I was younger, it was sometimes tough to go to some areas, and my brother found it tough going through one area or another with, like, getting into a fight. But being a boxer, and everybody knows you're a boxer, and plus because of the sort of boxing history in your family as well, it's like, do you ever feel like sometimes people, like, they try it on, or they have a sort of perception, or a...
There's a few times, like, so see, because like, my dad and that, we've stayed in the same place since, like, he was a young boy. Like, everybody around a bit knows us, right? Nobody'll say nothing to us, like, everybody's sound ways, but like, nobody's like, oh, he's a boxer, watch out, all that means. But it's just because they know us, they're like sound. But there's some places where, like, you wouldn't walk through, because it's just people don't know you, and they've also got stuff on them and all that, because don't care how good you are at boxing, as soon as somebody's got a blade, you got to check who give you out of that, man, no chance. And it's just, see when I'm out as well, right, all my pals like that, well, not all my pals, see the boys that I just got to school with, they'll be like that, they'll be steaming, right, and boys for another scheme will come up and that, and they go, oh, he's a boxer, and I'm wait, like, because I know it's like, boys might be like, oh, he's a boxer, just watch, but a lot of boys are like, pure looking at you, like,
they just put a target on you.
Like, it's a bit annoying at points, because obviously I don't want any trouble in that. I prefer to, like, I don't get wide with people, but like, I just prefer to, like, keep my head down. But if stuff does, like, hit the fan, like, I know what to do. Like,
you get two weapons in your hands. But I suppose, like, the discipline that comes with boxing helps. I mean, a lot of the time the coaches and even your dad would have seen it all and done it all before, and it's about you learning and how. But at the end of the day, you're an athlete, and you've proved that by, like, the going to the gym and losing weight and being determined and passionate about your sport. We were going to get your brother in, but thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, cheers, thanks.
And no doubt, like, as soon as fights and that start, I will go out to Rob Roy, but I'm thinking maybe we need to spend a few days in Rob Roy to try and get round as many people, and because it'll be. But I might even just take our commentary table and just stick it there, and, like, but. You've been on this as we're second week since the boxing started back, so we're hoping to, like, have at least one show every week. And you and your brother are one of the first ones on. So cheers for stopping me in the street. It's glad me on the show. Cheers, my man.
Cheers.
Hey, how you doing, Drew?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm alright, man. So we'll start with this, how we started with your brother. So you've recently started back school, started back boxing, and Rob Roy. You've been there for, is it just over a year?
Just about a year now.
And how you finding juggling both school and has school got back into the normal swing of things, or is it still like restricted?
So it is, you need to jump a bit with a mask and that, so you do. So it's a bit irregular, but it's alright.
Are you split? Do you just get split up, or do you just like?
No, they just. Nah, not really, to be honest. They're talking about, like, we need to have a mask, but they're not splitting us up or anything.
So do you see the difference with, like, going to school and you're able to spend time with your mates and that, and then but when you go to a gym, you're not even allowed to spar?
It's just weird, isn't it, man? They're pure quite just dicking themselves all the time about it.
So we were talking to your brother, like, about spar. Have you sparred a lot with each other, or just that once?
No, we've sparred quite a few times, so we have, but...
Were you sparring during the lockdown?
We've sparred a couple of times, so we have.
So I suppose it's quite good to have a sort of, like, a boxing partner in that.
So we're about the same weight and that, so...
You're growing. So you weren't always the same weight, but now you're creeping up them. Do you think you're going to be taller and bigger? He thinks you're going to be bigger. So what sort of stuff you been doing in the gym, the circuits and that?
Just hands a circuit works, so it's all about fitness and so it is. There's nothing we can really do except that.
And is there any indication of when things will change, or is like...
I don't know, I think the novice will be on. I think that might be on January time.
Would you fight in an empty arena?
Area, man.
Your back garden with your brother. So how long you been boxing?
Jake, I started young when I was maybe about 6. Just trained my dad on it, and then maybe when I was about 8ish, 7ish, went to Rob Roy. Like, it was old gym, so it was. And after that, went to Dennis and McNair, fought for them. But see, Dennis had 6 fights soon, I think. Won 4 losses to him, but I won my first 4 with them, most my next 2, but it was like, the coaches they're brilliant coaches, but it was like they're falling out of love with boxing a bit. So I kind of just sat down with Jake and my dad and we just said, we need to move. And that's it. Rob Roy had 3 fights with him.
So has it been a benefit you having like such a big boxing influence? I know your dad's phoned you just before you were going on.
Dad's name started yet.
But like obviously your dad's your dad, but at the same time like he's seen it all and done it all with boxing. He knows the feeling of getting into a ring. He knows like what it's feeling to maybe take a loss. Or you spoke earlier as well when you were ill when you had to fight, because you just didn't want to.
They might be a chicken.
So is that like is it a good and a bad thing, or is it like because you get all this like advice in that, and you, as you said, you just can sit down with your brother knows what it's like as well. You can sit down and have like an open, honest talk about what you want to do and what could come up in your career. But at the same time, is there ever any like added pressure because you want to try? You're your own person, but your dad's got big boots to fill for any boxer.
See, be honest, it started as a bit of pressure, but see, after I got beat for the first time, it just kind of went away. It's like, because I don't fight like my dad, so I'm not going to try and compare myself to him. And people that they see his fight, he may not be as good as his dad. I don't care, because I know I will be better than him.
So is that like, because I imagine there'll be boxers that don't personally know your dad, that would be like, that would either look up to him or inspired by him or want to outdo what he done. But is it difficult sometimes to distance yourself? You just said there, but it's no. You said like you've already got an idea what you want to be, and you want to like outdo your dad. Would your dad be in your corner? Just say in 10 years' time, a professional fight. Would you have your dad?
I'd be a good person in the corner, wouldn't it? He's done it all.
So what's it like in Rob Roy? We're saying like there's a lot of boys. There's now a big camp. I think it's growing as well. There's a lot of good boxing training and stuff that's going on there.
Everybody's is brilliant sparring, so it is. It's like seeing other gyms, you'll maybe go in and you'll see people hiding behind the bags and that. Seeing Rob Roy, everybody just wants to be the best, and it's a good thing to be around. Do
you ever get like confrontational with anybody, or is there any like?
Oh, everybody's alright with each other. It's like seeing a boxing gym. That's the last place me wanting that to happen. You know what I mean? Because
I know some. I mean, I've spoke to some of those who spoke earlier about last year's show with Jim Taggart and Lennon and that were fighting. And it amazes me how down to earth everybody is. That's why it's easy to have these conversations with boxers, because everybody is just so chilled and laid back and just like, well, inside there must be some competitiveness. You must be like.
There has to be. If you buy it, you need to be competitive, don't you?
Because I think it's going to get to a stage. I think I maybe even have seen it where 2 people for the same gym have had to fight each other.
That's happened to the gym a couple of
Aye,
times.
and as a gym grows, it's going to happen more often. Like I've said, you and your brother might clash at one time, but it couldn't happen, innit? It couldn't happen until maybe.
It'd divide the family, wouldn't it? If it happened.
Do you think?
Aye. Like, no, after it, like.
Whose side would who take?
I think would take the other side, man.
Your mum and dad just sitting in the audience.
I think it'd be so it would.
So it's hard that, because as I said, like I've got mates that box, and sometimes there could be, I'll just say it like once my very close mate Ahmed Merv, or Black Assassin, was fighting Ryan Collins, and the guy in the corner for Ryan Collins is one of Cash's coach, Colin Belshaw, who's for Renfrewshire boxing. So like this was before JTV Raw started, but I always felt like, oh, how do I approach it? As if I was even important at the time. I was like, oh, how do I like I know this guy and he trains one of my other best mates, like, so I didn't want to. We wanted to always try and be respectful, but at the same time, 2 boxers. Sometimes boxers like they'll try and big up a fight. We're talking about Scott Allen and how like we all love Scott Allen, but if you're ever if you're ever a opponent to him, he's not going to make it easy for you.
I know, see Scott, he's funny as well, but he's why see outside that boxing. He's no time getting. He's why the nicest guy you'll ever meet.
I think like I've spoke to Cash a lot about Scott and how like he's obviously fought him twice, but now they're both boxers St Andrews, and I think you need to appreciate what he tries to do. It's kind of like the way Conor McGregor is, like tries to build up the fight, and he does. I mean, even his argument with Lee McGregor, like it just pulls you in, it wanting to see what happens. But then you do have people in the opposite end, like Cash won't like publicly disrespect his opponent. It doesn't matter how much he wants to, and that's what I'm saying. Your brother, like, there's with you guys, it's like he's come across very respectful. And do you get that for your dad, or is it a mixture between your dad and your mum?
I think it's just we were brought up, so it is. It's like, just watch my dad as well. He was always quite respectful of his opponents as well. Because I'm not, after a fight, I'm not like to go celebrating their face or anything. After a fight, I always go up and shake their hand and that.
Do you have, when you're in ring, do you feel that presence of the referee who's...
See, I'm just focused on the fight somewhere, like my opponent in front of us. Like sometimes, like, the referees that get a bit too involved in that, man. And you land, I mean, they're trying to work inside, they're pulling you away and that, so you think to yourself, hope he doesn't interfere as much, but no, really, I just try and focus on the fight.
And do you hear, like a lot of people say to me they don't, do you hear anything from outside the ring?
I've only, a couple of times I've heard my dad screaming, but that's it. That's how I feel.
We'll talk about it because it's like Leo was on my show last week, you're on the show this week, he brought the fight with you up. You've had you had 2 fights, 1 each, but you've moved up a weight now.
Yeah.
So is it either that he'll need to move up, if do you think that's it settled now, just happy with 1 each, or you just think, no, you just need to tell me this?
It might happen again, mate. No, I'm no ball, but I wouldn't say no.
I said to him what
happened. Say no to a fight.
I said to him what would happen if, like, because Cash and Lee McGregor were both in the amateurs together. I don't think they sparred a lot, but I was like, there might be, like, further down the line, maybe 10 years' time, the two of you, same age, similar weight. We think you're going to shoot up in it. Maybe your brother. But there's a lot of good boxers in Scotland that, and you see that, like even with Josh Taylor and that, like and your dad and like Ricky Barnes, like there's always been a good breed of boxers that come through. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I just think, see where you come from. A lot of people don't have the need to fight. You know what I mean? Because I think it just comes natural. A lot of them. A lot of them are just naturally talented. It's like a calling to them or something. Is
it only boxing you concentrate, or did you get a chance to watch like?
I play football, but I'm not really into it anymore as I used to. Like, I still play it, I'm still into it, but watching it now, I don't know, just watching it gets a bit boring.
Is there skills for football that helps you in boxing?
I think they're 2 completely different sports, so I don't think anything kind of helps us, but the fitness does, because my coach for my football team, he conditions as well, so he does, he just makes us run all the time, which is a good thing.
Film Rob Boy had a big, massive show last year.
Oh, it was class.
And it's where I would want to see a lot of boxing shows go, because it can generate money and generate interest, and like people go to have a nice meal and that, and they can enjoy it a bit more. So hopefully they get to do it again, and we can see you guys fight. But thanks for coming. Say thanks to your mum as well for bringing you bright and early on Saturday morning. But I shall see you soon, my man.
Right, cheers.
Oh yeah, I'm here day 2 at Kynoch Boxing Gym in Glasgow. I've just banged into Adam Lyon for Rob Roy, who's training on his day off for Rob Roy. So how you doing, Adam?
Alright, I'm good.
You good? So you've always been a boxer that trains, what, 7 days a week?
Pretty much every day.
So you've just started back Rob Roy. You're there like Monday, Wednesday,
Friday.
And then on your days off, you try and get as much training in.
Yeah.
That's good, man. So have you been missing the boxing?
So much. Because that's been 6 months having a box for now at a proper amateur boxing club. So we just started back yesterday, so that's good.
So as I said, you were in the gym constantly, but then you made the transition to Rob Roy, which is it's got a big stable. It's a busy gym. Before lockdown, did you get a lot of chance to? How long were you there before the lockdown?
I joined Rob Roy, I think it was about Christmas time. Then I boxed, my first month there, I boxed in London. I boxed a good boy and I won the Scottish with Rob Roy in February.
So that's you, was that your second Scottish?
My second Scottish,
So now 2-time Scottish champion. And so you had a good few months at Rob Roy. Did you get a lot of sparring? People always say there's a lot of sparring, so did you find more people your weight?
Rob Roy's a really good club for boys. There's boys, all different shapes, sizes, styles. It's good experience sparring in there.
So the thing is now is that you can't do any sparring, but you've put on a lot of weight. You've grown up a bit. So what's the jump? What's been the jump in the last 6 months? So what were you before?
I boxed in the Scottish at 44 kg in February,
and now I'm sitting at 54 kg.
You're a lot. 10 kg. You're still half what I'm worth, but you're getting there. But you've took a stretch. Were you expecting that? Were you expecting to?
Finally, I've grew.
I think, see, the thing is, I didn't. What age are you now?
15.
15. So I never really moved like up in height until I was maybe about 14 and a half, 15. But I know like what it's like when you want to sort of get there. But now you're shooting up. So we don't think shows. Well, we don't know what's happening with shows. We don't know what's going on with the tournaments either. But do you have hope that maybe before the end of the year there'll be something on that maybe you could get in the ring and have a little fight?
Hopefully, it's like you say, nobody knows when it's going to start back. See if there is, hopefully amateurs can do shows behind closed doors, that'd be good.
Aye, that's what I'm looking at. I'm really keen for that. I'm going to actually, I don't know if I should say it now, but I'm going to try and like get in touch with Boxing Scotland and say what's the script, like what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do, because obviously my idea is that they would sanction an event, and my hope would be that we could stream it and then try and generate money for the clubs and stuff. But Rob Roy, they put on you were there last year when they put on their show at Crown Plaza. That would be an experience in itself, no?
Aye,
so is that what you would hope to do, like to have a big fight in front of a big crowd like that?
Hopefully, aye. It's like you say, behind closed doors, it's good. You want an opportunity to get the fights because there's none on there, but it's a difference with a crowd. It just makes it 10 times better.
So the boy, I mean, I seen the fight for down south. Did you enjoy that? That was his dad was a boxer.
Aye, his dad. The boy I boxed is Connor Mitchell. His dad's Kevin Mitchell. Really good boxer.
So did you know that before you went down, or did you just find out on the day? Or?
I know. I've watched a lot of his dad fights as well before I went down.
Have you? It's always good to get the homework. So as I said, I seen you. You've been in now. How many days? You've done 1 week already in Rob?
I started yesterday. My first day in Rob.
Oh, your first day back. And are they split the classes, or is it still?
So they're doing 2005 to seniors, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and they're doing 2006s to 2010s, Tuesday and Thursday.
That's good. So I think a lot of the gyms they've had to split, especially a gym where they've got a lot. I was speaking to, in fact, they'll be on this same show, Drew Limond and Jake Limond. Do you know them both?
Aye, they train in the same class as me.
The same. Boys. So they're decent boys, isn't it?
Aye, they're good.
I always find that there's a lot of like respectfulness. Oh, the music's stopped in the back. Sorry, you just hear the pads, people in the bags even. I was going to say a lot of boxers about your age, they get this sort of good discipline where they're very respectful in that when they're talking. And then I've always said the minute you step in the ring, you're a total different person. But when was the last time I seen you fight? Last time I seen you fight would have been at the. It was one of the. It was the show because your dad was recording it as well. He's recording another angle. That's what I liked about your dad. He's very good at recording. So he records one angle and he sends it to me, and I've got two angles. He thinks it was that the Scottish. It was in February.
Aye, that was Scottish in February. Aye.
So hopefully, I mean, it's a bit frustrating, and I know somebody like you who's constantly in the gym and in the ring, you feel more comfortable. And so hopefully you can start having something. I mean, they've not even started like proper pad work or sparring. That's still to come. But do you know what I think will happen is the minute like the restrictions are sort of lifted a bit easier, I think it will just start. It'll be one.
Hopefully all the shows into place and start again.
And it'll be good, man. Other than that, how's everything else in your life?
Good.
You been got to school?
Aye.
How'd you like that?
Alright.
Have they been social distancing in the schools?
It's like, so we'll sit, it's two at a table in school, but the tables are social distance, but you're sitting beside at least 7 new people a day. I don't know, the hallways they're meant to be, but there's too many people.
I see, that's the thing, like I've been speaking to some young people about what schools are like, and I mean, you know, Daniel, I've been speaking to him and he was like basically his school's just, everybody's just thrown in together. Maybe we'll leave it at that. I'll definitely catch up. I'm going to try, I keep saying I'm going to try, like, once I get this week out the way, I'm going to head up, speak to him at Rob Roy, and if I don't want to put pressure on gyms, but if they have space, then I could come with my wee table and sit and have a chat with some of the boxers there as well, and maybe get some shots. We get some it'll be difficult because usually we do, like when somebody's doing pad work and that, it'll just be bags maybe. And in the gym, I know the rules have been warmed and pulled up a few times, but I even have my mask. I don't have one. I only get you one. So Adam, listen, thanks. It was always a pleasure to see you. Thanks for coming. You need to put sanitizer in your hands now because that's we get pulled up. But thanks for talking to me, man, and I will catch you shortly. Now, before we start with the Kynoch boxing special, I just want to say a massive happy birthday to Gary Porter, who is going to be in the first interview you see. Gary and Barry was an unscheduled interview that we done. Both great laughs, and we'll be definitely looking into getting them on the shows more and more often. But so, Gary, I hope you're sitting enjoying with your family. We put your interview on first in case you get a bit drunk later on in the evening. However, I hope you enjoy it and have a massive happy birthday. Alright guys, we're still at Kynoch Boxing Gym, but we're joined with Barry and Gary for Glasgow City Boxing.
Dynamic duo.
The dynamic duo.
I'm not saying anything.
How you guys getting on?
Good, mate. We've been back in the gym just over a week now, so, well, a week a day.
Or whenever the government guidelines said we were allowed to be.
Whenever work goes out.
In case Nicholas Sturgeon's listening.
But it's good to have the team back. We were doing a lot over the lockdown with them, but it's not the same. It's just not the same at all. So it's good to be back in the gym.
There's restrictions on obviously things like sparring and that, but does that mean you can focus on? You were quite big on your fitness, doing the massive runs and that. Anyway,
so we were massive on the fitness as it was. So we're tracking the guys over Strava, but it's worked out quite well for us. It's allowed to start the guys back down to basics, get back to some bag work with them, get back to basic combinations, basic movement and stuff like that, rather than overthinking everything, pad work, sparring, all that kind of stuff.
We've not really changed the approach, even though that we know that the way it was after lockdown, kind of like pre-season, we just kept that kind of same way of going as we always did. So they started their pre-season running the way they would normally do. They do a lot of fitness-based stuff before they even punch a bag, whereas with pre-season, it does change. We kind of do pads, we kind of do sparring as we start getting into the gym situations, but it gives that platform again to build their fitness up. But we'll need to see how that goes over the next few weeks as well, and whether or not the restrictions can be lifted, because that will have an impact on what we do and how we train.
Just playing it by ear, don't you? Just need to, every week you come in, you just need to be a wee bit fluid in it, and what'll work for you one week might not work for you the next week. As Gary says, government guidelines and that, so we need to adhere to them and just work with what we've got.
The other thing is, obviously you would have been in a routine of working towards tournaments and that. Right now we don't really have any idea when any tournaments are going to be back together.
No, I seen the day though, I think it was the Irish Boxing Association have started to have conversations about some of their tournaments as well, and I know a lot of the coaches that I've got on social media have retweeted or shared that, saying hopefully it won't be too far from we're doing that. So I think there'll be conversations going on about how they come off, and that'll be the first thing. It'll be the tournaments, it'll be the novices, it'll be the intermediates, whatever. I think it'll be a long time before we see a club show. We'll definitely turn of the year, but at least with something like the Novice Championship's been so big, you can social distance, you can reduce the number of people that are in there, you can put draws out before it. You know yourself, going to shows, a lot of the places that we have club shows in are small halls, small venues, so any sort of social distancing in there might be difficult.
You can't police it as well. That's the problem, isn't it? You know what you say, like, these big tournaments have got to be the first things that come. The small shows are just harder to manage, harder to maintain, and obviously harder to get the guys involved in. So I think they're going to look towards. I think anybody that thought there was going to be a competitive glove thrown this year, as in before January, I don't mean as in this season, we're kidding themselves on. I think we've been quite aware of that right from the start.
Anything before then's a bonus. So if that does come round, then it's a bonus. But I think we've geared them up to, as soon as we can, you're expecting at least say a month. Say there was going to be a month lead in for Boxing Scotland telling us when a fight may be. There's plenty of time for them to be ready, fighting fit, because they're already training, they're back and they're doing their bits as it is now. So it shouldn't be a massive shock to them. Oh crap, they might be fighting soon. But I think that a lot. I mean, guys, we kept in touch with them during lockdown with
you said Zoom classes and that.
We did.
How did you find that?
They were hell. It was good. It's good in terms of keeping in touch with the guys, making sure they were still doing a bit of ticking over. So we did one on a Monday, one on a Wednesday. The times changed throughout lockdown.
Saturday.
And that's when we did the running on a Saturday as well as tracking the guys on Strava. But it's nowhere near the same.
You've also got, I think, as well, the size of the screen you've got. Like, if you get somebody, like some of the kids were able to do it in their gardens, some of them were doing it in their bedrooms, some of them were doing it in their living rooms, you know, you were getting disruptions or they didn't have enough space. So if you're trying to show them how to do something and you can't see them on the screen because of the setup of their house, their living room, it's difficult. So it limited a lot of what we were doing with them. But it was good that they'd done something.
It turned more into a fitness.
Aye,
it was
more hit circuits.
It was more of a just a kind of fitness hour, if you like, or half hour, to try and keep the guys ticking over. But once they come back for pre-season, I think we've both seen a massive difference in how the fitness had dropped off.
Aye.
As much as we were trying to keep in touch with the guys with the Mondays, the Wednesdays, the Saturdays, and as well as the running, the fitness has certainly dropped off compared to what they were before they left.
Well, the other thing is if you see boys every week, you'd maybe get an idea if there's anything going on, like that they're worried about, or they've got maybe too much homework or family stuff and that, like you can sort of guide them through things. Like,
I think, see, to be honest, I think one of the things I'd say is like we've got a big team, but I think we're probably pretty close with most of them in that I think we're both quite approachable guys. I mean, you've seen us. This is probably the most serious us two have been in the gym in the last 10 years.
I know,
Sitting here as a camera and a light, you're like, oh shit, I'm almost saying like that. But then to times we have a laugh at them when it is fight time, the same time we knuckle down, they train hard and they know the drill. But we've got quite a good rapport with our boxers. To be honest, most coaches should have. If you're a decent coach, you can see things in your boxers, you know, maybe something's not going too well. Or we know we've got a lot of them last year where it was exam times and stuff like that. You cut them a bit of slack, you know, if maybe their minds are elsewhere, or life sometimes bites you in the arse, you know, so you need to give them that. But we've got a good rapport with them, we've got a good chat with them out with the training stuff. We've got an amateur chat group as well for keeping in touch with them. But we've had, you know, without reaching any confidences, that few boxers have came to us with problems before, and nothing like that's really changed over the lockdown. You know, even if we're struggling, can I maybe speak to us? So it's not been the same. You've not seen them 3-4 times a week, but we were in contact with them, so it kept that going.
So you were saying earlier that when we had our chat before we had our actual chat, that
which you should have recorded, by the way.
Hilarious.
Much funnier than this shit that we're putting out.
So you've split into you've got two
teams. So we probably had about 30 plus 34, 35 boxers, fighters in the gym every night. We can take that in here in terms of the size of the gym because it's big. But the problem I had with that was the quality of coaching. The other side of the problem I had with that was it was becoming a bit of a social club. You know, guys coming with their mates, which is good, but we've got other classes in this gym if they just want to keep fit they can go to. So it was about maximising that, but it was also about for us being able to spend quality time with fighters and building them on. To give a really good example of this is Dylan Wallace, one of our most experienced fighters, was training for Western District Final, and the week of the fight, I think the Wednesday, I spent more time with a wee boy try to teach on the basics what I did with Dylan, just because we didn't have the scope to pass it out or move it out and about us because of just the numbers we had. And that's no fair on the kid, because my mind's elsewhere wanting to work with Dylan, and it's no fair on Dylan. So we had a wee chat, decided we'd look at trying to restructure the team, not only just the boxing but the coaching side. I'll tell you about that in a minute, but we've split the team into two, so it's almost like a development and elite side of the team. Development is, like I just said there, the kids that don't have the basics or maybe came through the ranks in the gym in terms of doing kids classes and all levels classes, then look to be an amateur boxer. So we'll bring them in and work in the basics then to get that kind of grounding with them and try and develop them on that way. Or we've got a couple of seniors in now that have been out injured, so we're using that development space for them to get back to fitness. So the guys in the elite team are more no elite in terms of numbers of fights, but elite in terms of they're good to fight, they're good to go, they're fit, they're ready, they're carded. And that's gave us a good chance to split the team.
Difference.
We've lost a lot of bodies as well, but that's a natural process, and it means we're right in doing it because those that are in the interest have disappeared. So we're no wasting time or their time. The other thing we've done as well is we've brought on our coach to help us out, John Gallagher. He helps with that, and one of our boxers, Pete Oswald, who is still fighting, he's stepping up to help coach that as well. So they've got 4 coaches, if you like, but myself and Barry oversee everything that's in the two teams, with John and Pete taking the development side as well. So that's worked in terms of the quality of coaching and the time they're getting with us is more. It also means as well that we've got a reduced number in the squad, but it's for the best because they're getting more time with us.
Jay's just interrupting.
Your interruption, middle of an interview.
What is it?
This is the gym pain in the arse.
You thought you'd come in halfway through an interview to see how we're getting on.
To see how you're doing.
The end of here facing. No, you never offer me tea. You offer me tea for now. Just because I'm famous. Just because I'm in JATV, I'm famous, and you want to be pure hanging about me now.
Just tell them about a couple of minutes, Jade.
Aye. Get my PA, deal with it.
So the other thing I was going to ask was with the home shows, like some clubs use that to generate money.
Aye.
Obviously, with the lockdown.
I think it all goes back to the team setup as well, as Gary was talking about there. We are very different from the rest of the gyms in many senses, but the main way is we're obviously a club within a gym, if you like, rather than just an amateur boxing club that's out there, that's running amateur classes, it's looking to get as many people from the community inside the gym as they can to, first of all, pay their bills, second of all, pay their wage, and third of all, provide somewhere for the kids to go, or the young adults. Whereas we're not really like that. So as Gary was saying, it became a bit of a social club over last season. I think we had about 40 something boxers at one point in here for 1 hour, Monday, Wednesday and Saturday, which was unmanageable for 2 people. So we've been able to send the guys back to the all levels classes towards the kind of different paths that you've got within this club, within this gym, and it allows us to focus on the fighters more than anything else.
The home shows are great, you said, like generate income.
But that was the thing with the home shows as well, sorry, I was going to say there. I mean, in terms of the home shows, we don't need that to generate income. Obviously, we've got this. Our members come here, they pay their entrance fee, and that covers what our fees are every year. So we're not really in that financial position. We're in a lucky position where we've got, obviously, Andy Anderson at TG Industrial, who comes in and sponsors us every year for their fees. Obviously, allows me and Gary to keep the coaching badges going. And Sam provides the gym just for the guys' membership. So we're not in the same kind of bracket as that, Jamie. We want to get the shows more for the guys fighting.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? So you tend to see that our shows are matched 50-50. Always. If you can say that rather than saying some of the guys that are looking to keep the boys in the gym and keep them ticking over, so they're maybe looking for that slightly easier route. We're looking to create the best boxer they can be rather than create a living for themselves.
Aye. I think the other thing with that is, we said before, we get a big stable. So if we could up to 15 fights in a show, our home show, we're guaranteed 15 of our fighters fighting. You know yourself, it's difficult. We're fortunate sometimes we all travel with 3 and 4 because we're willing to go wherever with the boys.
I've seen you all the way up in there. I was
We've been
I didn't even know you were
last year up in there, and that was a small journey.
What
was the one we did in the one weekend? We went, was it Inverness, then Hoyk, and then somewhere else over a 3-day period?
It was a Thursday we were.
I seen you in Dundee, and then I think very shortly after that you were in there.
I remember. I think the other one we done was we went down to the one down south.
Inverness to Hoyk was Spennymoor.
That's we done the Spennymoor. We went down to Spennymoor and then we done Inverness in the same weekend. But do you know what? See, at the end of the day, we talk about it in terms of travelling. Actually, you've got to do as a coach if you want fights for your boys and your lasses. So getting a home show and getting 15 of them on it in the one day is great for us, especially when we've got quite a lot of novices that maybe aren't getting fights out with novice championships. But it's what I said, we'll travel wherever we need to get them bouts, especially when you've got a large team. We've cut that down, as I said, but we've still got a bunch of boys and girls. We've said to them, if you turn up here 3-4 times a week and train for us, we'll take wherever you need to go. Chris, we sent Dylan to Canada with the Kynoch team. You know, it's a great opportunity for him, but again, that comes back to knowing that you've got fighters that are willing to travel, they're ready, and they're good boys. You know, we're not looking for a leg up or a horn up when it comes to matching them. See if it's a 50-50 fight, that's what we want. That's the only way to improve. You know, and that's again with home shows. We're fortunate, as I said, that we can probably kit out a full home show with our 15 fighters and they're in the blue corner and not have to worry about matching other clubs up.
I think if we remember last season, we actually more people not fighting on our home show than we did fighting it. We could have put 2 shows on the same day.
And all the videos are on JATV if anybody wants to watch them.
But make sure you get a look at that after you listen to this interview.
Aye, after this interview. Alright guys, I know you get people waiting. Thanks so much for talking to me.
No, we've no team. We've got Ulrich here today if you want. Look at anybody be.
In fairness, I've got people
waiting. 2 minutes about 15 times.
It's alright, you want that? What else should I talk about?
Let's cut that off for the wife. Right, I said to that lasted 2 minutes, 50 minutes ago. Right, as a personal training.
My glasses on.
It's actually a guy, but let's not move on.
Alright, I'm going to be here there 2 days, so we'll speak to some of your boxers as well and say they're finding it getting back. But
if any of them say it about us being shit coaches, Jamie,
we'll beat that bit out. I'll have you for an editing.
Maybe you than me.
Probably.
Do you want a song or anything? What you want us to do?
No. We did a nice Will Smith rendition before this started. If you didn't, no, we're not doing it again, Gary. No, we're not doing it again. Right, no, I'm definitely not doing it.
Oh, here we go.
I'm definitely not doing it.
West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground. My past was that when David was watching.
Relaxing all cool down, shooting some b-ball outside of the school.
When a couple of guys tried to make trouble in the neighborhood. I got in one little fight and my mom got scared and said I'm moving with my auntie and uncle in belly.
That's staying in, you know that? Mic drop. I'm joined now with Stu from Fueled Up Meal Prep. Stu, how are you getting on?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks, mate.
So, the gym's just recently opened after the lockdown, but we've came back and there's a new cafe in town.
That's right, it certainly is. We got talking to Sam just before lockdown, actually, about opening this cafe. Predominantly going on the side of health food, meal prep. We do various macro-tailored diets. We've been doing this for about 4 years up in Inverness, and we've done a couple of events for Sam before, and that's where the tie-in came. And we've moved it down to Glasgow now, and so far it's going very well indeed.
I've actually, I just, when you said that, you've done some of the events, I've seen you at events. That's actually quite decent. I've not tried you yet since you're in the gym, but run through some of the stuff that you do. It's more like, it's for people that go to the gym that can build up their protein and stuff, but it's not necessarily just for people who are at the gym. I mean, I'm hungry just now, and I've not started back in the gym yet. But so tell us some of the food that you do and how maybe people can get in touch to try it out.
Yeah, basically we've got a menu on our site which is www.fueledup.net. We've got 42 different meals on there, and we offer a service as well where we can tailor it to your exact dietary requirement. So if you're looking to lose weight, we can do that. If you're looking to gain weight, we can help you with that. If you're on a bodybuilding diet, we can do that. If you're on a diet set with your doctors, we can help you with that. It's just a service that we've provided for a long time. Started off in the gyms, but it's kind of amalgamated into a much wider range of things that we do. So whatever your needs with regards to your diet or your meals or your preparation for whether it's competitions, whether it's health, you can get in touch with us either at the gym here or, as I say, on the website, which is www.fueledup.net. And there's various options on there as well.
So I've seen your Instagram page as well. You've got like pictures of some of the stuff you do. That's Fueled Up Meal Prep.
That's
one
right,
word.
yeah.
We'll put it up so people can see it. Other than that, you've got you work up in Inverness. That's where you started.
That's right,
4 years.
Yeah.
You've now moved to Glasgow. You've got the Fueled Up cafe and Kynoch boxing gym. And you've got, is it a Mexican restaurant?
That's right, yeah, we've got a Mexican restaurant up in Inverness.
How did that come about?
Again, it was a strange scenario. It was just at the turn of the year we'd actually negotiated to go in partnership with that restaurant, and then obviously COVID-19 hit and everything locked down. So we were given the decision at that point: do we continue with the restaurant or do we just give up? And we thought no, and we completely refurbed the whole place. It looks absolutely amazing. So if anyone's up in Inverness, pop into, it's called Escobar in Queensgate. And we do all sorts of stuff, and we've got the largest range of tequilas in Scotland.
Wow. That's good. I'll definitely be trying that out when I'm up. There's a few gyms up in Inverness that I need to get up and film actually. So now I've got another excuse to go up and try the tequila. Listen, so thanks for talking to us. We will be doing like some pictures and videos and that at your cafe. No doubt when we're back in the gym we'll pop our head in and try some of the food. But
lovely.
Thanks, my man.
Thanks, man.
Okay, my guest now is Laura Fletcher, who is a physiotherapist.
So I do sports massage, but I'm a student physio.
Oh, so it sort of ties in together?
Yeah, it ties in together. So like we do it at uni, the sports massage, but like it all ties in, so it's good.
But you're a boxer. I've seen you box for Glasgow City Boxing, and you're part of it. They've now got we were speaking to Barry and Gary, which would be on before your interview, so we can talk about it. Where they've split it into development and elite. So you're one of the elite boxers.
Yeah.
Which means you're ready to go for a fight as soon as fights are allowed to go. So
hopefully soon enough. Anyway.
So how was the lockdown when I mean you would have stopped because your work's based here, so when the gyms are shut. So how did that work?
So basically I wasn't able to work, but I suppose I was just staying at home trying to keep as fit as what I could.
So we've got Gary who's just full of laughs. There's no more trying to wind you up, but
I was just staying at home, training as much as I could, trying to get as much revision done so that when I came back to my work, that I was able to, I suppose, provide the best treatments that I could, and just working away. Yeah.
That must have been difficult because it's like three things that you've been involved in that have just literally stopped. So your uni would have stopped, your boxing would have stopped, your work would have stopped, and have you got family that's in Scotland? Or
no, my family's all back home in Ireland, so it was a wee bit tough. Like, but I had got a good support system here, so I felt as though like I always had somebody to turn to and to talk to. But I suppose it was just kind of looking at the positive and thinking, this is one of the only times I'm going to get to spend this much time just working on myself. So I suppose I just tried to just develop my practice and make it better so that I'll be able to come back and hopefully provide better treatments to people, which hopefully is what I'm doing now.
So a lot of people sort of went through their own journey. So you've used that time to sort of reflect on your study and to come out the other end better, which I suppose that's what you want. You want someone that's...
Yeah, exactly. You want to kind of... I think I did come out of it as well, like come out of lockdown, like more confident and more able to, I don't know, I suppose able to learn myself and get better. So it was good. It was definitely a good experience. Like, you know, obviously it wasn't a good experience, but there was positives out of it, wasn't there?
Yeah, I suppose that, like, with us, I mean, we bought all this equipment and we're trying it out and testing it out, and we were just ready to go, which is why we're here, I suppose. But, with the boxing, so you've been back, the boxing has officially been back just over a week. I know people were doing some, they were doing online stuff.
Yeah.
Did you do any of that? Like,
I did a wee bit. I suppose it's just difficult when everything's online. Like, it's difficult to set aside a time for it, because obviously you've got your training times, but it doesn't seem as important because it's on Zoom. But I was doing loads of road work over lockdown. Like, I was doing big long runs, so I feel like I still got my fitness up. But since coming into the gym, it's definitely a different level of fitness, isn't it?
you know, a lot of people have been saying that like with the coaches not on your back.
Yeah.
It's sometimes if it's raining or you've been sleeping late, then you can sort of be like, all right, I'm going to chill today, and then that sort of just keeps going and going and going. So now that the coaches are back and
back in full force,
and they've always been. Like, I remember when they first came back for the season. It was last year's season. I mean, it was just weeks and weeks and weeks of running and fitness. So I think this is right up their street. They're just going to be punishing people with just fitness, because I mean, the sparring's non-existent just now. We don't know when that's going to come back. But tournaments and fights, I mean, a lot of people have a lot of different ideas. I think with things changing, do you hope that the tournaments and fights come back soon?
I mean, it would be brilliant if they did, but I just think looking realistically, I think we're probably looking like not until January, I'd say. But I mean, you just need to look at the positive, think this is a time for me to get better at all my technical stuff, hopefully work up to some sparring at some point in the near future, and just keep kind of ticking over and just improve your fitness and be as good as what you can be and ready for a fight whenever that's able to come around.
So if people want to get in touch with you for the sports massage and the cupping, which is that the
it's
cups
like
and
the suction cups. It's dead good. Everyone here likes it.
Do you know the first time you see someone with that on their back and you don't know?
You think they're like breezes, they're not so at all.
I thought Ahmed was abducted by aliens when I
know,
seen him.
Or like tentacles from an octopus or something.
so it's a bit like if you've seen it in people, this is for the people watching, if you've seen it and you don't know what it is, then Laura does that as well as sports massage.
Yeah, so it's all on my Instagram and my Facebook. So my Instagram is LF_sports massage and my Facebook is Laura Fletcher sports massage. And
that's up on your screen now if you're watching at home. So get in touch with Laura. She's based at Kynoch Boxing Gym, but she's also an elite boxer with Glasgow City Boxing. Yep. And studying to be a physiotherapist.
Busy.
So I'm very, very busy. Almost as busy as me. But Laura, listen, thanks for talking to me, and hopefully the boxing fights and tournaments get back soon. But no doubt I'll be in and out of this gym as much as I can.
Exactly.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you. Okay, my guest now is Jane Robinson. She's a personal trainer, just joined Kynoch Boxing. Jane, how you getting on?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
I'm alright. It's a bit cold now.
Yeah.
Here. It was warm, like too warm, and now it's getting a bit chilly. But where were you before Kynoch boxing? You were in it?
So I worked at the Village Gym, Glasgow, before this. I've been a PT for 6 years though.
So an unusual thing is that you're not for a boxing background.
No, so I'm not a boxing PT or coach or anything. So a couple of the guys have been teaching me how to box since I've been here. I'm terrible at it, but
I'm the same.
I'm enjoying it. But no, I'm not going to be doing any boxing sessions with people. I'm just a regular PT.
So how are you finding it in a boxing environment, sort of gym?
I actually really like it. I prefer it actually to the normal gyms. Like I find that I'm trying not to say in Village, but like in all the other gyms I've ever been in, people, are always kind of taking pictures, taking selfies. It's just very vain. Whereas I feel like in here there's no vanity, nobody's staring at what you're doing with your clients and stuff like that. So actually I do really prefer it in here.
So I'm going to say we did catch somebody with his camera recording himself the other day. So it does happen sometimes. It happens like in that corner where I couldn't see it. It was Barry and Gary, the amateur coaches, they'd seen it. But my follow-up question to that is, does that help clients that maybe I was speaking to Marc Kerr, and he does a lot of PTs, and we're saying that sometimes people don't always feel comfortable with going into the gym. I know even myself, sometimes you go in and you feel like everybody's looking at you, and I think a PT helps because they're there to, you just walk in and they'll sort of do the rest and keep an eye on you. But does it help your clients when it is maybe a busy gym or you're there and people aren't focused, like they feel like they're not getting focused on?
So I do PT mostly female clients, and I do have quite a lot of probably kind of older female clients as well, and I find that they prefer, like one of them absolutely loves it in here compared to any other gym that I've PT'd her in. I've PT'd her in a few places, and when we came in here, like she loves it, doesn't feel uncomfortable. Obviously nobody's looking at her and things like that, so she just gets right into her sessions, and she's actually improved massively just since starting this gym. It's crazy. Wow. Yeah, it's mad.
So I know that the whole ethos to this gym is to include other businesses. You get West CBD, you get the meal prep, Fueled Up meal prep. You get Laura who's doing the massage. You get a few other businesses that either sponsor or involved in it. Has it been a welcoming environment for you? Is it like being separate from the gym but being able to come in, do your own thing and sort of feel like you can just hit the ground running?
Yeah, it has been actually really welcoming. Obviously, because I'm not from a boxing background, coming in here I did feel not intimidated, but I was a little bit nervous, do you know what I mean, because of all the guys. But I've actually found that everyone's been super, super lovely. All the boxing lads have actually been like pure softies, do you know that way? Like,
I was just
they're
saying
actually
this.
really
I was literally
nice
just saying this to
guys.
Dylan Wallace. I was like, I've got mates that are professional boxers, and the way they are in the ring and outside the ring are totally two different. Not just that, even Hanna Rankin is a world champion female boxer. She plays, I think it's the bass. She plays so she's a classical music player, and when you see her walk out to the ring, she is, I'm not going to say terrifying because it's like, but it's scary, the difference, because it's like it's a totally different person. And there is this, like in the gym there's the sort of rules of engagement with being friendly with people, and then when you're in the ring it's like no rules barred for some people that are in that zone. I was going to say, like, when I walked into this gym I was sort of taken aback because it's the biggest boxing gym in Scotland. So as a big gym, there's a lot going on at the time. Even today's one of the busiest days. How are you finding it with the coronavirus restrictions? Is that, like, obviously during lockdown, you couldn't have went to a gym, but you could have done maybe some personal training. Did you do any of that outside, or did it just stop?
I didn't bother with it. I also do beauty, so I was back to doing that before obviously we could personal train again. But no, I was.
You also do beauty?
Yeah.
So, wait. So you. So the gym, you weren't allowed to do the personal training. Were you not allowed to do personal training, or just there was no opportunity because the gyms weren't open?
Well, the gyms weren't open. I mean, a lot of people jumped on the whole Zoom classes and like jumped on, like workouts in the park and stuff like that. But obviously, you have to take equipment with you if you're doing that. And like in terms of Zoom calls,
and some of the parks in Glasgow.
Exactly. Like, in terms of Zoom calls and stuff like that, I didn't really want to, you have to commit to that every single day, and sometimes you get like one person signing up for it, do you know what I mean? So it just wasn't up for that.
But you were able to go back and work in beauty?
Before PT, yeah. Yeah, they opened up the salons before they opened, like a good month and a half before they opened up the gyms, so I was back to that, so it was fine.
So you're back PT now.
Yeah.
There is some restrictions with, like, in a busy gym like this, I know they've cut some of the classes and there's something on how many people come in. Would you hope that you take one client at a time, or is it, so for you, is it quite easy?
Yeah, I just do one-to-one sessions, or people like they want to train with their friends and stuff like that. It's like 2 at a time, but mostly one-to-one, so it is pretty easy to socially distance, keep away from other members of the gym and stuff like that. So yeah.
When the box events do start back up, do you think you at least they might give you a free ticket to go?
I'll absolutely go, yeah.
Because it's quite it's a good night out for people. I take people who are on the no interest in boxing. I used to go to boxing to support my mates, so that's how I even started filming, because it was kind of, I didn't like seeing them fighting, so holding up a camera was like my barrier between them and the ring, and I never noticed, they always won, but it was like I never knew what happened in the fight, and I could just watch it back later when I already knew the outcome. So but it is a good experience to go and but what I was going to say is, if people are interested in getting in touch with you for personal training in the gym, how do they go about it?
So they can follow me on Instagram, so Jane Robinson Personal Training on Instagram, or if they follow the Kynoch page, they can give them a little message and they'll just pass the details along to me.
When you say to me there's a competition going, what competition is that?
Yeah, so I've got a little competition running at the moment with my beauty page, so Baby Jane Beauty and Jane Robinson Personal Training. I'm offering 1 full set of lashes of your choice, a 2-week infill, and 4 free PT sessions.
My lashes are quite long, I've always been told this, do you know that?
Yeah, all guys have beautiful lashes. That's why girls have to get them done, because we don't have as good ones.
Oh, I thought it was just me. I thought it was like just a thing that I had.
That's just a guy thing. Sorry, burst your bubble.
Yeah, I've also got a big sister. She's only 11 months older than me. She's just got new teeth, which aren't real. She had to take them for lunch. But things like this, I mean, we had to put sunglasses on just to look at our teeth. Listen, Jane, thanks so much for talking to us. I know you waited back because I was running a bit late.
It's alright, don't worry.
But thanks so much, and no doubt I'll see you in the gym. And definitely, I'm going to speak to Sam next time these shows are up. They try and get you a few tickets so you can go. We might even be looking for some people to help commentate. So,
sign me up.
One of my mates he does. I always forget exactly what he does, but he does like the sports conditioning and things like that.
Cool.
So he's like, I know nothing about boxing. I said, yeah, but you know about people that are athletes and that they're good sports-wise, so you can come and commentate in that and say, oh yeah, he's got a good physique, or he's been definitely working in his arms or whatever. He's been throwing punches.
Doing the bicep curls.
But listen, thanks for talking to me, and I'll let you go and enjoy your night.
Thank you.
And I'm going to head home as well. It's my last day, so it's day 3, and it's for Kynoch Boxing Special. So thanks so much, and I'll see you shortly.
Thank you.
Okay, my guest now is Faris Mahmood from Glasgow City Boxing Club. You're one of the new elite boxers because they've split into 2 teams. How are you finding that?
Find that way more. It's easier for me and the coaches, so I can get more time with my coaches as well.
So I think that was the main idea, was to split the classes at one because of the lockdown, but secondly to split development and elite ready to go fighters.
Yeah, it works in my favour as well, because if I'm needing extra help from Gary and Barry, I can get it. So it works for me.
So during the lockdown, how was it?
It was boring because obviously I was kind of working as well, helping my dad out as well. So it was like I couldn't really find that rhythm between training and working as well. So I was just basically being lazy and just getting fat. So it was boring.
Honestly, I seen you and I thought it looks like you're physically in a good position, but you have got bigger. So
yeah,
I don't know if
I feel it as well. I think I've gone up in weight as well a bit, so I'm getting a bit chubby, but everyone's saying if I start hitting the gym, I'll be alright, I think.
So you've always been one, I always felt quite rubbish for you, because at tournaments when you turn up, you've always found it difficult to, I mean, you pay the fees, you go into the tournament, and then you've not got sometimes anybody to fight. And I know it's been a bit frustrating, but are you hoping now that maybe there's a few other people that
I feel like I've actually gone up in my weight, like with my age group as well. So I'm guessing hopefully this Scottish, whenever it starts again, will be all good to go with other people my weight this time.
So we've been back at the gym. I mean, the gym's been open for over a week. I know that there's people been training, and you were doing. Gary and Barry were talking about some of the stuff that we're doing on the, what's that called? The video stuff. What's that?
The JATV.
No, the stuff Gary and Barry was doing. It's like Skype, but it's no Skype.
Oh, Zoom.
The Zoom classes. Zoom. Aye, so how did you find that? Did you take part in the Zoom classes?
Yeah. Well, it was just on my days off, and that would be a Monday. So you kind of awkward at first, and you just put a camera on everyone, just like right as soon as they're just at your face. But other than that, just mute yourself when you're in it.
Gary always strolls there to just make sure everything's all right.
I'm alright, how are you?
Yeah, pretty good at this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know, I seen you in interview. Alright, you go first.
No, you name a song I'll sing.
Let It Go and Frozen. You know that song?
He definitely knows that song. So I forgot. Oh, so I was. You were saying that the Zoom classes sometimes it's a bit awkward because you're basic. It's what my life is, talking into the cameras and trying to get people to feel a bit more comfortable in front of them. But for a boxing point of view, I mean, did you put the phone on in your house or your room or your living room? Did
so
your family?
In the living room, and then see how you sit on a couch. I'll put my iPad on the couch, and I'll just move back a bit. So then I'll just see if I can see myself like that, if I can see myself.
And did your family walk in and go like, oh...
Aye, my wee sister, because I've got a little sister, she would just keep coming in. Well, she wouldn't come in, my dad would keep bringing her in and making her own noise.
So, I mean, it was difficult, but now we're moving in the right direction. I mean, people, you see the class now, everybody... I mean, you always keep pointing out people are social distancing. I've been keeping my eye on that in the gyms. But it means that there's no like sparring.
Yeah, it won't be for a while, I'm guessing, because obviously contact and stuff. But hopefully soon we'll be back at it anyway.
And is that something that you miss?
I miss getting punched in the face, if I'm being honest.
Well, you've always. I mean, the show it was last year. It would have been last year because we just started JTV Raw, and we came here. We filmed the fights, and Gary and Barry always say that it's always they want the boxers have 50-50 fights.
Yeah.
So they never want it to be easy for you.
That's for me as well, because I see if I'm going to go up against someone I know I can beat, I'm not going to learn anything from it. But then if I'm going up against someone who I know is better for me, even if I come away with the loss, I know I'm going to learn something at the end of it, and it'll build me up as a boxer. And that's what I want. I don't care about winning. Well, obviously I do care about winning, but I'd rather learn than you know what I mean?
This is a thing I was talking about to my mate who's a football coach, and he was saying the same thing. He said sometimes where they go wrong in Scotland is that some of the football coaches push to win. So these young guys from a young mentality think, I need to win. Whereas other countries, even if they lose, it's the taking part and the development that's more important. So I see what you're saying. Like, even with a loss, I mean, you shouldn't never leave a fight and not learn something. And any coach should say that. You do obviously get some coaches that are going to be hefty on their boxers, but it's about finding the right. You've got a good relationship with both Barry and Gary. There's a few new coaches as well that are helping.
We've got Pete, who's also a boxer as well. He's got good experience because he fights for the Navy sometimes as well.
That's right.
And then we've got Big John as well, who used to train with Gary when Gary used to be an amateur boxer. So it's good.
I need to point out when Gary used to be an amateur boxer.
About 2 centuries ago.
I'm going to keep this in. But he's had his fun on the show, so you can have yours.
That's right.
So I pulled you away for training. I'm going to let you get back to it. But Faris, it's always a pleasure to speak to you and see you fight. You're very, how old are you now?
17.
17.
I had to think about that.
So, you're a very polite young guy. Your family's brought you well, but I think the boxing as well has kept you stable and on the right path.
It has.
And it's good to see. It's good to see because you're no doubt when a boxers that I know, I mean, I know you know a little bit Cash and Ahmed, but I've seen them grow up in the same sort of stance, and they are now being able to be pro fighters. And that's something where hopefully remember us when you're a big pro fighter and the big shows and even if I just get to get an autograph or something, that's it.
You'll be with me, don't worry.
An exclusive would be good, but an autograph would be fine as well. I'll sell for that. Alright, my man, thank you so much. I'll get back to your training. Okay, my guest now is Dylan Wallace, who's also part of the elite Glasgow City Boxing Club team. How are you finding the elite split from what would have been just the whole team now to you're split up to the elite and also the development?
It's a bit more specific training. Before it was just kind of a big squad, some amateur new guys, and it took a lot of work and a lot of time from the coaches. So it's a bit more specific with the kind of elite fight team where we're all kind of good to go at all the time, on your weight, good to go, and a bit more specific training, sparring, like technique work, not sparring and pad work at the moment, but in time that'll be good.
So during the lockdown, did you miss boxing? Because you're one of the main eventers for Glasgow City Boxing. you're a big name that comes to the show. So I imagine it's tough to get to that level where like you're fighting in the main events, not just in your own home shows, but home shows across the country sometimes. So did you miss it? Did you miss the fighting?
I did miss it. It's kind of like your normal kind of most weekends you're away, end up top of the card, but it's good being there. But it's kind of just when you're kicking about for a number of years, you kind of end up there. But it was nice to have a bit of a break. Let's say if you're doing it all the time, and I was working full time as well, so it was nice to kind of just be working and a bit more chilled weekends and stuff, and not getting punched in the face for free.
So you had quite an interesting year. It was last year. It would have been you went travel to Canada, and that was with Kynoch.
Aye, so the Kynoch club, they had kind of like a select squad, mostly their guys, and they'd pulled a kind of few other kind of elite guys from around the country to go over to Canada with them. So it was a really, really good trip. And then we fought twice in 2 days, and there was 2 main events over there as well, but unfortunately didn't get the decision.
But what was the experience like in going?
No, it was really, really good. I say the kind of venues and stuff over there were class. It was like maybe like 800 people. One of the venues was like an airport hangar, so they just hired out this airport hangar. Wow. No AC right enough, but this like bar and just like full of Canadians, and they were playing like Irish like folk music and stuff, and I was a good laugh, like some stories, but I don't know if I can say them all here.
But how is it like going with? I spoke to Jim McTaggart, and I've spoke to Leo Church, who's travelled a lot through boxing.
Yeah.
And one thing that they say is how much it brings them together as boxers, even though they're for different clubs. So you travelled with another club, but there would have been a few different people for.
Aye.
Was it something you enjoyed? Did you make friends?
Yeah, no, it was really good. So when I went there, it kind of Kerr McMaster was going, so I knew him. He's one of the kind of elite Scottish guys, so he was a good lad, and you kind of knew him before I went. And Willie as well, he's in the same gym. I fought him like not long before we went, but he was a nice enough guy, and then we were good pals now. So I kind of like got on really well with them, and then the coaches Danny Lee and stuff, they like treated you just as if you're one of their own as well. And Graham Bailey, he was one of the other guys that kind of organised it. Like they just treated you like one of the boys. So it was a good laugh, well looked after.
So the gym, Glasgow City Boxing's just been back. Well, officially back because you were doing like Zoom classes and stuff.
Zooms and the kind of pre-season running training, but they're only officially back last week when they obviously in the gym. So it was good to be back in. But my first week was this week.
So you just came back this week. Were you? Came back to Glasgow.
I had a friend who was getting coronavirus tested, so I was kind of half isolating, so I was off work for a few days.
Oh, it's mental. See, I've got family work for the NHS, and I've hardly seen so many of them. And when they get tested like constantly, I've tested myself. I've got like a kit.
Yeah.
And I've never had it, which is annoying me. My throat's dried now, so I've coughed, but it's not to do with
that. You're okay.
It's because Sam was speaking to me, and my throat was dry. That's why I've got this Ribena drink here in case I need it. So you just came back this week. How is it?
No, it's good to be back punching stuff again. My hands are a bit sore. I'm not used to it, so.
It's going to take a bit of time.
But it's fine. Must be punching a bit harder, so I'm carrying a bit more timber.
So how do you find the restrictions in that?
It's all right. Like I say, I work in the hospital too, so I kind of understand where they're coming from. Like I don't mind the kind of social distancing side of things.
Which hospital?
Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, do you?
So I work in the ground floor as a physio in there, so I was redeployed and stuff. Like whenever at the height of it, but not to a coronavirus place.
Because I've got this pain in my back.
We'll get you after me.
Well, I was speaking to Laura, so I used to. But I was speaking to about the businesses that run in the gym. So you get Bless CBD, have you used the fuel filled up.
I haven't used it yet. I was only back this week.
I went and get 5 of them yesterday, and I'm going to get another few because it's like I'm really bad for eating. I never have time to eat between the shops and the filming and stuff. And I've just moved in a flat myself, so it's difficult sometimes to get that.
And getting it organised.
And my mate, who I know he sometimes comes here, Asham. He's just a person too. He does like the sports therapy and stuff. So he always says to me, "Oh, Jimmy, you're not eating enough. It's not that, and when you do eat, it's just rubbish. You
need to get the right type of foods in and stuff.
More. So I'm hoping to. That's maybe something that I would use. But do you find that it is a good environment in the gym because there's other businesses here? Is it something?
So there's a lot of kind of stuff. I say Laura's doing the sports business stuff. You've obviously the Kynoch gym, and then you have the Glasgow City, the amateur side, and then you have the LRG like equipment side of things. You've loads of stuff going on. I was actually doing a bit of physio in Laura's room kind of pre-lockdown, but then I just haven't started that up again. I've just that much other stuff on my plate at the moment.
So are you studying?
No. So I'm graduating.
So how's juggling the work and the boxing? The people you work with know that you're a boxer.
Well, when you come in with black eyes and stuff, they kind of have to know. Like, try to tell a wee elderly patient why you've got a black face isn't the easiest. Like, but no, everyone knows I'm a boxer and stuff, so no one really minds. Like, I say it's kind of part of the parcel. So
it's always weird. I was just saying this as well to Sam, that boxers, when you speak to them outside the ring, they're always just totally different people. It's not, you watch a boxing fight and you're like, oh, this guy's ruthless. But then you speak to them and you're like, oh, they're just laid back and very
he's really funny, like.
And just chilling up. Is that sometimes? Is it? Do you introduce yourself to people as a boxer?
No, like I would never tell someone. If it comes up in conversation about kind of your hobbies, interests, or what you maybe doing at the weekend and stuff, and that's like I've got a fight on Saturday night. And they're like, a fight? What do you mean? Are you fighting in the street? And they never. But I would never introduce myself as a boxer.
And did they shot?
Sometimes they think you're shite, like.
And then you tell them you're a headliner.
And then you can't tell them that either.
It's our main event, though. What about your family? Have they been supportive of your boxing?
Yeah. So my family are back in Ireland. So whenever I was younger, I did kickboxing as well. So I've kind of done it since I was maybe like about 12 or something. So since I've done that, they've always kind of supported me. And like I wasn't good when I initially started. Then after a couple of years of doing it and putting effort in, I started getting wins, and I never ended up. It was always the opponent who ended up in worse shape, so they never weren't too worried about me.
I notice a lot when I go to some of the amateur shows that the parents or grandparents or cousins, always somebody that doesn't want to watch. Do you have that? Do you have somebody that they'll buy a ticket, they'll come to the event, they'll put money in the raffle, whatever. But when you're in the ring, they're like, oh no, I can't watch.
Not too bad. I say I haven't got too many batterings, so I haven't been in that position. But I think if I was getting hurt and knocked out, then maybe a bit more afraid.
Because you're a name that's came up, like for me, it's like before I even had met you, it was I knew your name before I'd met you or seen you fight. And for me, that's always a sign that somebody is brought it up and said, oh, there's a really good boxer at this.
I'm just going to take guys and bads. Like if they say there's a fight on Saturday night and it's a Thursday, I'll take it. Like I'll be on weight, I'll be good to go. Like might lose sometimes, but that's boxing, so I don't really mind as long as I've put out a good enough effort and stuff. And obviously in Scottish boxing amateur, like the decisions can go against you sometimes, but if you know you've done yourself justice, I don't really mind. Like not too fussed. Like.
What did you call Gary and Barry?
Gaz and Baz.
Aye, because I've just called them Morecambe and Wise after that performance that you'll see it maybe. I asked them to do what interview. I was going to interview them both individually, but they decided before I even got here to start playing with the mics and recording themselves and stuff. So it wasn't recording though. So at the end of the interview, I was like, all right, thanks for talking to me. And they're like, no, we're not going to go anywhere. We've got to start singing and what
they're like the Chuckle Brothers.
I actually think I need to work on some sort of show with it.
The other good one they got was, do you ever see Power before? The series? Power?
Yeah.
You're Tommy and Ghost?
Yeah.
That's like Barry's like Tommy, like. Big dodgy cunt, he looks like him.
Aye, that's right. So that's how I always thought I knew Tommy, like knew his face or somewhere, and it's probably just because he looks like Barry. But they don't stop. I don't like, and we eventually started talking about serious stuff about the boxing coming back and stuff. But how is it like with them coaching you? Because I know they're like really close to it a lot.
I know, so they kind of they kind of like, it's good to trust your coaches and stuff, and I think when I'm in the corner with them, like, and I know they'll give me good advice, and like, obviously I wouldn't be overmatched because I'd fight anyone anyway, but if it was out of my depth, they would tell me. Like, they haven't told me that yet, but I know that if there was ever a time they had to pull me out, I'm sure they would do it, you know what I mean? They wouldn't just let me get battered in there type thing. But
they're quite tough in between the rounds.
Aye, they're good. I'm quite demanding. Like, I'm fucking a nightmare in the corner. I'll scratch my back, tickle my balls, pour water down my back, like. So they kind of get annoyed at me for moaning at them in the corner, but if I win at the end of it, they don't really care, like.
But you travel a lot.
Aye, so they're all kind of around the country, and you're fucking.
Which show did I see you? Was it Dundee or? No,
aye, some were up fucking. God knows it.
Do you know Scotland because of that? We'll tell me this to do.
I had to change my t-shirt. I had a Greenock t-shirt on, but he keeps fucking cracking up. They give me all the gear. Like, the pure killing me out with the gear, and then he.
Did you get to keep it?
Aye, so
that was nice of them, because a lot of boxers don't get in Scotland. Don't get to keep that.
Because it wasn't the official like Scotland setup. It was like a Greenock select team, but they'd give us all the Greenock gear. But every time I wear it in here, I fucking get abused for wearing it. Like, it's all class night gear, and they fucking get slagged off. Like.
I was just banter between them.
Aye, anything to slag you off, like anything to slag you off. Like.
But it's funny. I mean, they always their brains work so fast. But it's like I can't keep up. It's like sometimes they just hit it with jokes after jokes.
Aye.
That's how I was. Like, I think I need like to walk on like just a show a day too.
Aye.
Or if we do take this to the level we're doing, like maybe commentary, and we're trying to stream fights and stuff.
You couldn't publicise all the stuff they say though. Like.
Oh, I know. Do you know? I've actually made a wee reel. It's about 4 minutes of just things that they said. I might keep in some of it, but I think some of it I need to take it.
Yeah.
But they'll just it's jokes in it. But I know it. Boxing Scotland could be like, maybe, oh no, you can't say this.
Can't be saying that, like.
Even if it's a joke. So when are you hoping to? I know nobody knows the answer to this, but I keep asking it for some reason. When would you like to get back into?
Ideally, as soon as possible. Saying like, I'm like on my way all the time. So the fight next week I would take it, but I think probably you're more looking into kind of January time. I think the Irish Boxing Association, they've put on elite championships for January. So I'm hoping. I don't think we'd be any earlier than that. So I'm kind of just.
So do you represent?
I don't represent there, but just kind of see some of the stuff on social media and stuff. So I'm thinking, like, I don't think we'll be any earlier than January. Like, if that's.
So would you go to?
Nah. I can't. You can't be double registered in clubs. So
yeah, can you like represent Scotland to fight there?
But not in their elite champions. That'd be like their clubs. It's not an international tournament. It's just It's just like their version of the Scottish, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was actually planned to be moving to Australia in March, but I never got away because of all this shit.
Oh.
So I was trying to plan on the box over there.
I think James McGuinness. Do you know James McGuinness for juries?
I've heard of him.
He went there. It'd be funny if he's fought and you couldn't remember. but I'm sure he's in Australia.
Aye.
Or New Zealand. I'm shit with the two. And I hate being shit with the two of them because it's like people mix up.
They're quite far away and they're close enough.
I know. But people mix up like Glasgow and Edinburgh, Scotland and England. I don't like it.
Fair enough.
But listen, thanks for talking to me.
No, cheers, mate.
I'm not hoping to just do this and then move. I'm hoping to come back to gyms and keep conversations going and stuff.
Yeah.
Until at least shows are up as well, and then maybe I'll grab you at one show and you can help.
Sounds good, mate.
Commentate in one of your teammates.
After the main event.
Just be sitting there, just us watching the dismantle of the ring.
It's pure shit.
Oh, so I was your you're in the main event, and then we just sit and talk about them dismantling the ring.
Aye.
But I can see why you got on with Barry and Gary, because you're quite.
Aye, they're good laugh, like they're good crack, like.
You fit in with them, the jokes. But listen, thanks for.
Aye, cheers, mate.
Thanks for waiting. I know it was running a bit late.
Don't be silly, mate. Don't be silly.
But perfect, my man. Thank you.
No, cheers, mate.
Right, guys, my guest now is Magic Marc Kerr. Marc, how you doing?
All good, thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
So I was just thinking there, like every single time I've came to this gym, you're here.
I'm here a hell of a lot, yes.
A proper gym boy, isn't it?
Yes, it's all I do actually, that's just personal training and working in the gym and training constantly here. I enjoy it though, it's a good place to be, it's a good place, good people to surround yourself with, I feel lucky to have the place.
I think sometimes, like I've been speaking to a lot, even yesterday I was talking to Jay, and saying that how the gym's like a comfort zone for a lot of people. When you come here, you're comfortable, you know your way around, you know everybody that comes in, they know you, and it's like, it sort of helps, like, people, like, when you're training, you just feel it's good to have that comfort.
I think that's a great thing about this gym, is having that comfort. It's just like, it's creating a community, and it's not just for the people who are here just now, which is a great sort of friendly environment. We just want more people to be involved in boxing, even like the personal training side of this as well, even for the classes as well. It's like, we know everyone, we want more people to actually enjoy boxing, enjoy the sport, and you do feel comfortable and welcome in this gym. It's like, takes away from that stigma of boxing as well. It's like that sort of tough bravado sort of thing. It's just, we want it for everyone, so you can feel good, feel a part of the gym, like feel like that community element to it as well, so you feel good in this environment, so you can talk to everyone. There's always somebody here for you, and you always have your own friends in the group.
So I was saying that as well to Barry and Gary when I was talking to them about the coaching, and saying that for a lot of young boxers, they rely on a continuous connection with their coach, because their coach will be usually the first person to see if something's up, whether it's bullying or homework or something going on at home. And to not have that during the lockdown must have been difficult for a lot of young people. But now, I mean, the younger Glasgow City boxing young athletes are in. You've got the women's class on, there's some PTs and stuff going on, and then the all class is just about to start in about half an hour. So it is still a lot of people that have just rushed back into the gym, but still trying to manage the restrictions.
It's kind of trying to manage the numbers. We have kind of like capping it, so it's like set people are in every time. So it is a flow to the gym, but it is still limited, because I know the amateurs had to split their classes up into like so many bodies and tell certain ones to come at certain times, and we've done the exact same through like the PTs need to be in at a certain time. That all levels boxing classes are all certain times, so there's no real crossover. We're just trying to keep a steady flow in the gym, just so we can welcome everyone back, because that's what we want. We want everyone to come back to the gym and enjoy being here again. But you've been in this place before and you've seen how busy it can be, and just it's a great feeling to it as well when it's just everything's going on. It's brilliant to be around, so we're just hopefully slowly but surely we're going to get back to all that again.
So during the lockdown, you've done a lot of stuff that you're putting online to help, like you're showing exercises and that. So I always say potentially you could be training somebody who isn't even in your country. You could be training somebody the other side of the world. How does that feel? Like, did you enjoy it?
Do you know what? I did enjoy it as well. I would have probably liked to be a bit better at it as well before I just sort of dived into it, because I kind of like it forced my hand a little bit. I've never done anything interactive before, like your live classes or even just putting out content through like social media posts. I was like, just what I had to do. I had to sort of just adapt to it all, and I was like, I enjoyed it though. I enjoyed it, and I got amazing feedback from it, which I was really kind of overwhelmed by, because like a lot of people took to it and were asking questions about certain combinations, certain skills that I was trying to like do for them. So I was just like, I was kind of shocked by the response from it, and I thought, do you know what, I'll definitely be a bit, because this has been back open, I've kind of focused being back to personal training, but I'd definitely like to keep that going. So it just kind of opens it all up for everyone, so people who can't make the gym or people who are still in not wanting to risk going out just now, they can still get the workouts done at home, they can still learn a skill, even just pick up little hints and tips from boxing.
I think as well, like people are maybe a bit self-conscious about coming to the gym and like coming. I mean, I always say to people that the first step through the door is your biggest step, and then you'll see how comfortable it can be. You see people all shapes, all sizes, all colours, all creeds, whatever. But it's a very opening and welcome place to be. But for people who still are a bit apprehensive, they can watch this stuff online to get the first, until they get to a stage where they're a bit more comfortable, and then start taking it forward. But I suppose PT one-on-one sort of like, I mean, you're there through the steps and the progress and can help them plan it out and stuff. So like PT and maybe be a good step as well. For
PT would be a good step, but even that way, like even the online stuff, it lets people see a face, see someone they're comfortable with, maybe working with in the gym as well. And it's just, that's what I say to a lot of my clients as well. Before they come, it's just like, just literally get yourself to the front door. I'll take care of the rest once you're here. Just literally get yourself to the gym. Once you're here, the workout will take care of itself, and you'll love this place, because like no one's got a bad word to say about the gym. Everyone loves being here. You just literally, once you're here, you'll be happy. But even the ones you're still doing it online and doing everything like that way as well, like they'll keep learning little bits about boxing the whole time, and then they'll just eventually get the confidence to come. Once they're here, they'll never look back.
And you're somebody that's taking, like, been through every step of boxing. I say you're always in the gym, but you've also got a career, a competing.
Oh yes, I'm still boxing myself. Yeah, still hopefully looking to get back out this year and get back fighting again. I'm just like, I'm enjoying my boxing just now. I'm enjoying my training just now. By training with Joe Ham, just moved to them, and I think I'm happy with how training's going. I'm feeling good. I'm looking forward to getting back in action with a new coach behind me, a new team. And I'm feeling strong, and I'm like looking forward to competing again.
Has the lockdown sort of give you a chance to reflect on maybe past styles and maybe looking into new coach and a new sort of style?
It wasn't a new coach. It wasn't like new stylistically. It was a move that I had to make, and I think it's been the best thing for me. It's like rejuvenating my career. I feel like I'm ready to go again. I feel more motivated. I feel like I'm learning more about boxing again. I feel like this whole lockdown let me refocus and sort of like knowing that I still want to fight and I want to compete, and I'm looking forward to like sort of the next sort of stage in boxing as well. I feel like I've got a good few years left in me, and I'm looking forward to like getting back into action.
So when we've seen you, it's always like it's been big shows. It's always like top of the bill, whether the Kynoch shows or some of these like rattling like this.
Just not a caregiving, is it? No, back to personal training, everything. That's it. It's got to be done, eh? Just make them do burpees and save us a hassle, eh, mate? Scott, come on, help us out here. Help us out, Scott.
Jesus Christ, they're going for it. So I was saying, like, I forgot what I was saying.
Yes.
We will go back
Scott's just ruined the whole interview now.
So we'll just blame him.
Such selfish, isn't it? Shocking behaviour.
So we'll go back to your career. So you said you're home by the end of 2020. Has it been difficult like, because there's not that many shows going on. There's so many boxers that will obviously want a show or want to fight in a show. Has it been difficult to sort of find the right show or the right opponent or whatever?
See, like the right show or the right opponent is that stage in my career. I've had 15 pro fights now. I don't think there's ever going to be like a right opponent. The plan is just get myself physically ready, and when the chance comes, I'll be ready. Hopefully, take it. Hopefully, the phone goes. Get myself back into good shape and prepare for, like, even if it has to be like a 10 rounder off the cuff, it's just right back in there. There's no point in waiting about anymore, because I feel like I want to go and test myself, and that's what this sport's all about. I don't really feel the need to go and have a 6-round fight. I just kind of want to go straight for it.
Yeah,
even working with like Joe's kind of like, he's wanting me to just like go into a proper fighting straight away. No, not really build up, just right back to work.
The thing is that you're experienced in the ring, you're experienced as a trainer, so I mean you're fit, you're ready to go, so it's like
it just I feel fit and I feel like sort of ready, just a little bit more prep. Like no training's ever going to be 100% perfect, so it's just like being ready, just putting the work in just now, where like there's not a date, there's not a timeline where you're usually working to like sort of pressure sort of time where you have like sort of it may be like 6 weeks or 8 weeks, you know how long it's going to be. So we've kind of upped the training a little bit, up the sparring, and get myself like in that sort of right frame of mind where if the phone does go in a couple of weeks time, like 4 weeks, maybe we could get ready for a fight, we could be ready to go again, because like that's the stage we're at just now, because I don't know what will happen up in Scotland just now with shows. I don't think we'll do any shows behind closed doors. I don't know if behind closed doors events will still keep going, but it is just putting the work just now where we are ready to go again.
Brilliant, man. So hopefully that happens soon.
Yes.
Even if it happens down south, if there is an opportunity for me to tag along.
There's always opportunity. The whole team's tagging along. The amount of people I'll take down for a behind closed door show is going to be unreal.
Your personal entourage, photographer.
We need it all. We'll have these mics set up. We'll have Scott behind us hitting paddles. We'll try to do interviews. We'll be all good to go.
Right, Marc. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks for having me.
I see you every time I come, so I'll see you very shortly. Perfect, my man. How you doing?
I'm good, mate.
Enjoying your food?
I'm loving it.
I've just bought there. I've just bought 5 of them.
Did you use my code?
No, I never. Well, he gave me a wee discount because I interviewed him yesterday.
20% off the code Ghost, mate.
Oh, is it?
There you go.
Well, do you know, you've heard it here first, because we're going to promote that. We're going to give him a wee shout out and stuff. But I'm going to actually try the food. A class was just finishing, and they're watching you sitting enjoying your food, where they've just been running about for the last hour.
I've trained hard, deserve it.
Aye, I agree with that. So, How are you getting on? You've had a bit of an ups and down lockdown in it.
No, up and down. I've had fights accepted, no happened. I'm getting there. Hopefully I've got something coming in the pipeline, which could be quite good, so we'll see.
So Sam got an interview the way back when the lockdown just started, and he was saying that it'll be difficult for a lot of boxers, first of all because this is their income, right, which a lot of people beyond my business itself is the same, but like in terms of recovery, some boxers might never come out, like if they've not had fights, and it might be time that some of them might call it a day or whatever because there's no chance. Do you feel that frustration with other boxers that you know? You don't even name any of them, but any boxers in particular?
I've seen it happen with a few. People's licence will run out and they'll go.
I'm just going to bring that mic in a wee bit. Murphy, if you speak into it.
Cool. I'm just saying, like, people's licence have kind of ran out and they'll be like, I've not boxed in 8-9 months, Some of them longer than that. We've been in lockdown for about 6 months, so they might go, what's the point of renewing the licence, you know what I mean? Unless you've got a sponsor paying it, you're about 700 quid every year. So they've basically paid 700 quid for a year, not been able to fight. And why would they do it again? Do you know why are they going to do that to make? Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to mention figures, but make, do you know what I mean? Not the best money on a small hall show. Or, your guys at the kind of bottom levels where they're not making as much. A lot of them will just go, there's no point, I'll make more money in my day job. So
that's saying, like, there's obviously a lot of boxers that they're like part-time boxers because of the amount of, if you're training for, just say you get the full distance, you get a good maybe 8 to 12 weeks in advance. If you're training for that time, you're not making any money, so you're relying on sponsorship and stuff, and especially because a lot of these sponsors are small businesses themselves, so they've taken a hit because of the lockdown.
Tell
as
you
well.
one of them, Trigger Woods, that he trains with us in Doon Valley, he's one of them. He was saying, like, he doesn't mind, you know what I mean, he owns his own business and stuff, and he was saying it costs him like a couple £100 a day, do you know what I mean, to train, do you know, because he has to pay for other guys to do the job that he would be doing, and but it cost him like a couple £100, a few £100 a week to train for a fight, you know what I mean, and he's having to train all the way through this when he knows there's not any fights coming up. So to guys like that, like, if I was in that position, I'd maybe go, fuck this, do you know what I mean? And I'm in a weird position where I've been skint on my life, mate, do you know what I mean? So I'm kind of used to it.
Tell me about
it. But guys like that own businesses, or guys that have well-paying jobs, and they go, why am I going to fight for X amount on a show that might not happen till December, when I can make nearly the same amount a week when I'm working, do you know what I mean? So there might be a lot of guys, just chuck it, just retire, just because of this whole situation, which is horrible. It's horrible to see, but
it's like everyone's just so doing. Like, even if you look at, just say you were, I mean, you've been ready for fights. As you said, you would take them on a moment's notice anyway. But you've been training, you've been ready for fights. You're in a lot better shape now. I've seen a lot of people go back to lightweight lockdown, but you seem to be going in a good direction. Is it because of this?
It's because the pubs were shut for ages. The pubs were shut, and I made sure none of my mates invited me to parties. So it worked in the better for me. So I've stayed relatively sober through it. I think that's the main thing, that the pubs and the clubs are all shut.
So it's not always a bad time for some people.
I mean, I know.
But I was going to say, like, there's a lot of boxers that you like. If there was tournaments coming, if there was fights, and like you could watch and you could see, I want a shot of this guy. But it's just been months and months and months where we've not really had that much anything.
We've only started the behind closed door shows,
and the demand for that is so high.
Yeah, and in all honesty, I'm not that much a fan. I quite like the fight camp, but the shows that are indoors behind closed doors, I'm not that much a fan of. I like the crowd. I would like to bounce off the crowd. Don't get me wrong, I've been offered a few of them. More than a few of them have been offered about 5 or 6. I've accepted them, and have not happened, because I would still take the fight, because we need the fight. Need to get paid, need to, do you know what I mean? Keep my career going. Especially when I've had all the time out since February. I was fortunate enough to fight twice at the start of the year, but But I feed off a crowd, you know what I mean? And it's not nice. It's not nice to watch because I know the boxers will be feeling the same. Prime example, Maxie Hughes against John O'Carroll a couple of weeks ago. John O'Carroll just beat Scott Quigg. You know what I mean? It's an elite level. It's an elite level, and Maxie Hughes is a cracking fighter. But he shouldn't have beat John O'Carroll. And do you know what? Fucking my hat's off to him because what a performance! He boxed excellent. But I think John O'Carroll's a person that will feed off a crowd, you know. And I think that's a big part of the way that fight went. But that just shows different people's attitudes. You know, Maxie Hughes never let that bother him, and he beat him. But I think that's a big example of having no crowds there. You know, I think I'd struggle with no crowd there. Because I like to get a crowd going. Do you know what I mean? Like,
you've always been like
I'm a boxer,
performer as well, as well. And I think
I'm a boxer, but first I'm an entertainer. You know what I mean? I'm a class clown. It's just what I've always been. And it would frustrate me not having a crowd there. So.
I think as well, like, when I've seen you box, like if there's any frustrations that you've got in the ring, sort of the crowd, they sort of backs you up and you feed off them. But I've seen you like go mate, I remember you punching your face before like one of the fights. I think that was either Crown Plaza or it was Crown Plaza. When you're fighting, I think it was last year. But you said like it's not just in boxing. Like, if you look at even Bayern Munich in Barcelona, I just think maybe Barcelona were just known the game for that long that they just took their eye off the ball and just get hammered with Bayern Munich.
There's no crowds, man. It's mad. It's bizarre. And going off topic for boxing, I'm not a believer in the whole COVID situation and what's happening and the way it's been dealt. But it's ruining everything. It's ruining, like, even going down to like theatres. Theatres are all closing down, and it's losing a lot of people's kind of social activities and you know what I mean, and leisure. So it's
I went to Kynoch Centre. I stayed just across from Kynoch Centre, so I was like, I'm going to grab something to eat. Earlier the day, I just went in and get DiMaggio's shite pizza, and there was a woman that when I was signing out, I was like, oh, this is a pain in the arse, and she was like, oh, I quite like the interaction. And I thought, do you know, she's probably been in the house for months and months and months, no spoke to anybody, and she loves all this, going out and having to sign on the name and somebody just speaking to her, some security guard or something like that. And you forget that there is that social element to absolutely everything. If you're knowing the job, I was speaking to Gary and Barry yesterday, and one of the things we're saying about the amateur boxers is a boxing coach can keep an eye on a young person if there's anything going on with school or if they're getting bullied or anything like that, and they can sort of flag it up and talk them through it or support them. But if you've only had Zoom classes for 6 months, then there's no connection there, which a lot of boxers need.
No, 100%. I've been fortunate enough that I'm a professional athlete, and I think it was 2 weeks in we gave the green light to go back to the gym and back to training. So. That aspect that I've not felt as much, but all these young guys, these young amateurs, you know, they're fighting for a trophy. Do you know what I mean? They're not fighting for a wage. They're still at school, and they're going to be the same as the pros. The pro guys that are going, I'm doing my day to day, and I'm earning just as much. They're not earning anything. Do you know what I mean? So I see a lot of the amateurs, maybe not at the elite level. I think the elite level amateurs are allowed back. It's just kind of bias among amateurs fighting, but I can see a lot of amateur kids going, why am I going to do this? You know what I mean? I'm fighting for a daft.
There is some clubs that have said, some boxers have they come back. Maybe that's to do with their fitness as well. I think because a lot of them weren't having a coach on their arse, they've sort of just let it slip. They're not like they've maybe put on weight. They don't want to go back. Now it's the schools have just went back as well. So everything's sort of timed at a way that it doesn't really suit everybody.
Well, I mean, if I wasn't allowed in a gym, I'd be about 30 stone. Do you know what I mean? I'd be massive, because when I've got nothing to do, like that Saturday there, I'm always out, even if I'm not drinking or anything, I'm always out somewhere, I'm doing something to keep myself busy. That Saturday there, I've been eating my meal prep all week. I've dropped about 8 pounds in the past 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? Just eating properly. But I was in the house on Saturday myself. My best mate was away back home down in Birmingham. My missus she's through in my sober, but she was working early shifts. I had nothing to do, so I'm just sitting in the house bored, just twiddling my thumbs. And I'm like, do you know what I'll do? I ate a bag of chips, mate. I don't like chips. Do you know what I mean? But so if I never had the gym, if they never let professional athletes back in the gym, I wouldn't be sitting here. Do you know what I mean? We'd be sitting a bit further back, so I've got more space.
Right, it's a comfort for a lot of people.
Aye.
And they feel comfortable in the gym, and it's like I know it's drifting away again, but I watched the Paul Gascoigne documentary, and he was saying that he could have went on a pitch steaming, but he felt comfortable on the pitch. Nobody could touch him on the pitch. Everything else, he could control everything on that pitch, but outside it is when the media are just hammering him and the shite that he got for that. Like, and it's, you forget these are people that when all this shite's going on, they need their comforts, and their sport, as you say, your athletes.
I've been in a gym since I was 8-year-old, do you know what I mean? Regardless of how hard I trained or how much I put into my training, I've been in the gym. That is my comfort. If I get taken away from me, I'd be loopy, I'd be locked up probably. If I wasn't allowed in the gym, especially through lockdown, where I'm not allowed in the gym and I'm not allowed to socialise, I'd have went mental. Do you know what I mean? If I was still an amateur and I wasn't allowed in the gym, I don't know what I would have done. Do you know what I mean? I had no training facilities at home. I would have went crazy, because this is my comfort zone. That's in the fridge. That's my comfort zones. But I can see a lot of good amateurs, a lot of people with a lot of potential, not coming through and not coming back because of all this, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
So does it feel good to get the PTs and that? I mean, seeing you training, doing some training earlier.
I moved away. I moved with Dave Allen down in Doncaster in the end of December, and then I never came back here till it was just about to be lockdown. So I kind of lost that. I had a lot of kind of clientele before. I lost all my clientele, so I'm just starting to kind of rebuild that again.
It's maybe a good time as well, because it's just after the lockdown. Maybe some people are now.
We've still got a lot of people paranoid to come in gyms, and I don't know whether they're paranoid. You know what I mean? There's a 99.6% survival rate of a virus that I don't really believe exists, but it's we're getting people back in. People are excited to come into the gym. They're excited to go back to something, which is a positive of it. Do you know what I mean? When you're being told you can't do something, you kind of want to do it. But I mean, if I was told I can't go to the gym, I'd probably just fall away from it and just not go back. You know, I started off as an electrician, and I get the sack after a year. I ended up tuffle with somebody, and I put them through a window.
Through a window.
They're fine. They're fine. It's all good now. But if I was still an electrician, I wouldn't be boxing, because I would have felt my comfort of just my day-to-day job, and you know what I mean, making money. I would have been fine just doing what I do. You know, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be sitting in the house 30 stone with my hand in the cookie jar. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be excited to go back to the gym. But if you're told you can't do something, if I get told I can't go to the gym, I want to go to the gym. Do you know what I mean? Same as when I get told you can't make it, you can't do anything, I want to do it. Do you know what I mean? The worst thing I can have around me is people that will tell me, aye, that's fine, you'll do that. Oh, fuck you. No, I won't. You know
see, I work with there's a boy I work with, right, and see the only way he works, and I hate it, is for me being a fucking arsehole to him. If I ask him to do something, I'm just laid back, but I actually need to be a prick to him, and that motivates him, and I'm like, I hate being like that, because then I'm in a fucking bad mood, because I'm like, it's the only way I can get him to do it is by me being an actual arsehole to him.
Well, I need that, and I'm down in Doon Valley now training, and they don't give a fuck. They don't care if it's Calvin's been there since he was a Calvin's been there. Pepper hit me the wrong way there. Calvin's been there since he was a baby, and they still shout at him. Do you know what I mean? They don't do any. No, there's none of it. You know, I was expecting to get tore into being a new boy. Do you know what I mean? Being a heavyweight that's fucking got the belly hanging over the jeans. I was expecting to get tore into, and I did, and I loved it, and I've trained like fuck. And I've put the work in, and I'm getting there. Do you know what I mean? But I get treated the same as what everybody else gets treated. But I think tough love is the way forward. But not everybody does. I've tried to be like that with PTs to not come back. You know what I mean? So, you've paid for a block booking. I don't care. Keep it.
So we're here for a few days. It was there 3 days. We'll go over Kynoch. This will be part of the Camp Boxing special on Friday. Is there anything else you want to say before I let you go and finish your? It's been the longest.
I know, fucking man. No, just.
You're winding a lot up on Instagram before the lockdown, innit?
I was winding up loads, mate. That's just what I do. But
it's funny when you release like the sort of the full shop stuff, And I was,
mate,
everybody starts googling it, and starts checking what's going on. Is this right?
Do you know the best one? Right, the best one was when because I'm quite recognised. My face is quite. You know, when you see me, you remember who I am, especially now with all the tattoos and that. But before that, I had people say to me, "I know your face with it," because I'd been on kind of STV and just general stuff. Do you know what I mean? Just doing stuff with boxing, and when I went to fight in New York, it was kind of over the news and stuff. And but I used to tell people I was Junior MasterChef champion 2013, right? I swear to God, mate. So I used to tell people that, and then I put it in my Instagram bio. So when you googled Junior MasterChef champion 2013, my name would pop up. I go, oh my God, that must be where I seen you. That's mad. So it was a lockdown. An interview I done at the start of lockdown. I'm not going to say who it is because they cut it out after I said it. They were obviously embarrassed, but they said to me, they went, "Oh, so when you were younger, I seen you on Junior MasterChef. That must have been amazing."
Oh, fuck's sake.
I was kidding on, mate. That was the real. They were like, "Oh, it must have been someone else." I know. Just backtracked it.
Fucking hell. See, I've got a PlayStation buttons, right? That I got because my 4-year-old nephew picked it years ago. He said he wanted to get a PlayStation on my belly, and this is what we settled for. Every time people ask me, like, I'm shite at FIFA. I'm good at, I can play other games, but FIFA, I'm absolutely shit. But I say to people, I was FIFA champion 2014-15. I said I would be number one in Europe, but I'm number one in Europe because the two guys that bet me were for China. And I was in Italy, and this boy had told another boy, that boy played FIFA, and he came up and he was like, "Oh, can I find you?" I said, "No, I felt it was Sony and EA, so they took everything off. Like, I'll be breaching contract if I show you anything." And that's all I've got is this fucking PlayStation buttons on my wrist.
I love that shit, man.
But I love just going and winding people up. So that's why I love it when other people do it, and they've got the guts to do it. You don't give a fuck, is it?
I know, I don't care, mate.
Interrupt their press conference where they held sitting.
I know, mate, but I'm just sitting there watching it, being there with the boys, you know what I mean? I never thought, like, oh, this is getting filmed, I can just fucking screen grab it on my phone. So he's went, oh, well, I mean, you're living with Jade. Jade's a great fighter. And I pulled the phone out and I'm like, say that again, going to say it, just please, mate, say it again. I'm like, nah, too late, mate, too late.
So on that note, they're going to be shutting this gym soon. A pleasure, my man. And we'll be using hand sanitizer. Coronavirus. I don't think either of us believe that there's that.
Lot of shit, mate.
And it's difficult to say what you want because you end up getting these big fucking debates with people who.
You say like, then you get to where's your tinfoil hat? Oh, you think it's a 5G tower? I've never said it's 5G towers. I said, they're fudging death records, which Italy and Spain have been forced to admit that they have. So I think it's only a matter of time before they do it in the UK as well.
Since time I've always said to people, you were more likely to go on Jeremy Kyle's show 4,000 times and be told you're lying when you weren't, or the equivalent would be to have sex 4,000 times by using a condom and the condom didn't work, than to die of coronavirus. That's still. I'll need to add the numbers up again, but I'm pretty sure it's in that. And this was away at the beginning, and it's not changed. So anyway, I'm not going to go fucking talk about that shit. It's enough for there. But you'll officially talk to me, and no doubt when things are back up and running. You need to give me an exclusive, and I'll just follow you down with my camera wherever you go.
Quality. I'll be brilliant, man.
Cheers, bro. Okay, my final guest tonight is Mr. Kynoch himself, Sam Kynoch.
Hi, Jamie. All good?
First of all, thanks for letting us come in and overtake this wee part of your gym this week.
No problem. No, to be honest, thanks to you, the work, not just saying this because you're sitting in front of me, that you're doing for boxing gyms across the country, I think it's brilliant, and it's good to get exposure for our gym and for all the other gyms as well out there, you know. Good.
So we obviously met because you're still managing Ahmed, but you were training Ahmed years ago. He's a good mate of mine who's been on the show a million times. I know you always pulled me up for that.
Yep.
But one thing I liked is that you're obviously very good with the shows, but the personal side of things, when we won't go into stuff, but when boxers that are under you, like you're sort of your stable, like you can look at for things and look at how to progress them and develop them and things like that. Here tonight you've got every level of boxing in. This is one of your busiest nights, I think.
Wednesday's busy.
The busiest. But you see boxers progress. But I just spoke to Faris Mahmood, who's now training for the elite team in the Glasgow City boxing. But you see boxers progress and you get to know them and you get to know their strengths and weaknesses and look. So how important is that for you to see a career progression in boxers that you've seen maybe for a young age, and then you see them headlining a show either that you're putting on or a show down south?
Yeah, no, it's great to see. There's two elements to it. I'd say the career progression in terms of they walk into the gym as a young kid, maybe a bit shy, they learn to box, then they start fighting, they get success and they progress through the ranks, but also the personal development and seeing that, the confidence in kids coming through, and just as people do, they change over the years and develop, and just following that and being able to be part of someone's journey, both in a boxing context and their life outside the ring, I think is important. And if people have got any sort of consistent in their life, any sport, if our gym in boxing can be it, then great. And I take that personally as a kind of key role, particularly as a pro boxing manager. I talk to my boxers not just about what fights they've got coming up, what's happening with their work, their family, a whole multitude of things, because it all comes together. Ultimately, it's the most dangerous sport in the world. So as their manager, I have to understand exactly what's going on in their lives to know what their frame of mind is and everything else. And it's not just me as their manager, but then that's about me having a relationship with them, their trainer, and everyone around them. Sometimes I've had family members of boxers reach out to me because there's something going on that they perhaps don't want to say to me. I'm not as close with boxer A as I am boxer B. Like Ahmed, I've been very close with from the outset. He's my friend outside the boxing. Whereas other boxers, it's a much more professional relationship. You become friends to an extent, but I don't know what's going on in their life. So yeah, it's great as part of the joy, I'd say, of being involved in boxing and being able to have a gym, and in particular this gym, by virtue of the fact it's the biggest boxing gym in Scotland. We've got different businesses in here. We've got an amateur team. We've got Scott running as SK Promotions. We've got the pro stuff. We've got people coming in to keep fit. There's everything's going on all at once, and I think that's what boxing's key, especially in this time. Not to go off on too much of a tangent, but there's so much confrontation with people and talking about I think the key is we want unity and harmony with people, and boxing gyms do just that. You've got every ethnic background. You've got men and women. You've got kids age 5 up to, we've got a guy who's in the day 63. We've got that wide age range, so I think a boxing gym is a really key kind of place, particularly at this moment in time, for people to get together, and I'm so glad we've got gyms open again because it's an integral part of the community.
So I was speaking to both Marc, Kerr and Jade Carrigan McFarlane, and both of them were talking about how comfortable it is for them to be in the gym, and people do find their comfort, whether it be in the gym or inside a boxing ring. I said that I watched the Paul Gascoigne documentary. Obviously they felt comfortable in the pitch because it's where they felt safer. So although boxing is one of the most dangerous sport in the world, like you find boxers that they know themselves in the ring, and as you say, the progression, and they get comfortable in here, and you see people all ages. You've got the women's class as well that was just finished, the kids classes. You touched there on some of the businesses running, which is why I like this gym so much, because it gives opportunities to, like we spoke to Laura earlier, who's Glasgow City Boxing Club elite boxer, but also she's doing the sports massage in the gym. You get Blessed CBD, which is a business that just took off, that ties in with a lot of the...
Absolutely. I mean, Blessed, within 12 months, it became the market leader in the UK for CBD. It ties in nicely with the gym because the business owner has trained here for several years. He's a good friend of the gym, and it's obviously, it complements sort of kind of boxing, and people using it to kind of help with injuries, and if there's trouble sleeping and things, as a health thing. So it's really a great tie-in. And Laura doing the sports massage. Lockdown was actually quite handy because we managed to build her a new treatment room. Blessed CBD needed more space, and we managed to build Laura a new treatment room. She's got a kind of bespoke treatment room now, so it's great for her. It's good having everything under one roof. In
the last business we spoke to Stu a bit earlier with the fueled up meal prep. So I tried 5. I took 5 yesterday, and I'm going to grab some more because my mate stole 2 off me.
Okay.
But another good idea, I have a cafe in the gym where people are not just people for the gym. We spoke like people could come for other gyms. Like I need to get into some sort of training eventually, but I'd rather start eating right first, and eating proper and eating at all before I start like in the gym. But it's another good idea. Somebody who's got 4 years background in Inverness, and so how did that even come in? Because he's covered a lot of the shows.
So Stu I met through Gary Cornish, who of course I managed, and then now Gary is retired and he's kind of our ambassador in the Highlands. So boxers up there can speak to Gary about signing with Kynoch Boxing, and Stu's his friend, so I met him in that context first of all. He's then catered some of our events, done a great job on that, and while he was down here he saw the cafe space and said, if that ever becomes available, let me know. Lo and behold, it did, and then he's slotted in, so it's perfect because we want the cafe, obviously it's meal prep, so that ties in well for our members, our boxers, but also it's you can have a tea, a coffee, you can have whatever you like. We want that, going back to the community element. My point of reference is the Peacock Gym in London. It's mobbed. They've got a cafe at the front, and there's people, sitting there kind of doing business deals, having a meeting. They've not necessarily got anything to do with the boxing activity that's going on, but it makes it that kind of community thing. And where we are on Portman Street and in Kinning Park, there's several different businesses, and as Stu reaches out to them, they might not come here for the boxing, but they come and they maybe realise it's, this misconception people sometimes have about a boxing gym, thinking it's like something of a Rocky movie, and you walk in, you're going to have to fight, and there's blood and guts, and don't get me wrong, it's a hard sport and there is sparring, but you can come in here and never be punched, just do the training. People come and see kind of what people are like that come to the gym, and what it looks like, and people never actually come into the gym, they just come and sit in the cafe, then great. But if we didn't want to have a kind of cafe that didn't complement all the other services, and Stu as a passionate individual, and with his meals being kind of tailored exactly for athletes, it's just a perfect tie-in, So it's been a lot of this development, in all honesty, has been during lockdown when everything else has been suppressed. I mean, from my own personal perspective, I've lost 11 events already. The gym was closed for pushing 6 months, but we've been able to, as a kind of term, if I'm going to use the expression, an entrepreneur, somebody that kind of is self-employed. I mean, I know that's what you do as well. You've got to think outside the box, and during that period we had to kind of push on other things, and we've came out of it stronger, and I think that's evident by virtue of the activities just going on tonight. The gym's busy, we've invested in the place, we haven't just kind of felt sorry for ourselves, and we're just keeping on moving forward.
So at the beginning of the lockdown, you've done a Sunday Herald, I think. You were saying that you were worried about how this lockdown might affect some professional boxers because of the lack of events, and obviously that's an income for them as well. What's your feelings on that now? Do you think it's a bit more positive, or is it still like, because there's no that, I don't think there's that many shows, and the demand for those shows must be so high that it's unfair for so many boxers that are having to, and especially when the gym's closed, no personal training until recently. So what's your thoughts now on that?
So for some of the kind of the out and out journeymen, they've not had much work in terms of getting fights because it's been TV promotions, so the promoters are looking for 50-50 fights. So it's kind of good for boxing fans in the sense that maybe a 4-0 guy is boxing a 6-0 guy. Otherwise it wouldn't happen. They've been forced into these fights. The promoters have been forced and the boxers have been forced. But for your journeyman, there's been less work. But now Channel 5 have had a few shows, 2 shows back to back. So Gary Maguire, the kind of only kind of bona fide journeyman I have at the moment, he boxed at the weekend. So that's a sign of that side of things picking up. But in terms of the small hall circuit and boxers competing in front of crowds, kind of, and if I look back at my phone, I'm like, in April I'm texting the boxer, hopefully May, hopefully June, hopefully July. I've kind of just got to the point now where it's like, let's see what happens. Tomorrow, being Thursday, is the next Scottish Government review. In the context of everything kind of being extra restrictions and cases going up, etc., I don't see the events side of things being opened up anytime soon in terms of gatherings, which is what I require to run events again. So for a lot of boxers, they're still kind of out of work. A lot of trainers that are used to having 2-3 journeyman boxing every week, they're just not having that. So income wise, boxing's still not in a great place. I've been lucky. I've had several boxers compete on TV shows. I'm working on fights for other boxers at the moment for behind closed doors, but these fights are often, as I say, compromised. It's not a fight that in usual circumstances you would take. And some boxers who are nearing the end of their career have had very open and honest conversations with them as to say, I would like to perhaps get you 3 fights and then we'll push for this fight, which is your ultimate goal, perhaps to say contest the Scottish title. It's like when the window opens, we don't know how long the opening is going to be. You know, there could be another lockdown, nobody knows. If we can do that fight, you might just have to go straight into the more taxing fight. So I think when my promotions come back, we should see more Scottish title activity, which is a good thing for fans, but for some boxers it's coming on a bit quicker. But at least now, because gyms are open, they've got that notice, they can just tailor their preparations accordingly.
Is there a lot of pressure on you? Because I mean, let's be honest, you're not just the biggest gym, but the biggest promoter in Scotland, if not including most parts of the UK. Is a lot of pressure on you to keep like boxers in work or to keep events going?
Definitely. So from the management perspective, boxers want to be active and they often sign with me because I run 12-14 events a year, and then that's gone. So definitely there's pressure mounting on that front, and also from my business model, the basic premise of it is that I run regular events, and you know that kind of keeps venues happy and allows things to flow, but things are just on ice, and because it's extraordinary circumstances, I'm really lucky in terms of the venue partners I've got, particularly Crown Plaza Glasgow and Turnberry in Ayrshire, both extremely understanding of it, and they are desperate to get boxing back because boxing nights are great business for them. You know, good crowds, people go there, they consume a lot of alcohol, eat a lot of food, have a great night, and I'm a known quantity to them. So there's definitely pressure, but like I say, just in these circumstances, there's nothing that can be done. We talked about it. You said to me about something, you know, trying to do a pay-per-view platform or something like that. Now, I'd looked at it and I'd thought about a couple of different ideas, but outside of having a major TV network behind you, it's impossible because of all the extra costs involved with the COVID testing, extra doctors, etc., etc. It's just not viable. But the further things develop, we need to think perhaps even harder about how we go about getting guys fights, because things are starting to open up overseas now, which they weren't before. So it might be the case that some boxers go and compete abroad, places like Hungary, Latvia. You know, you can sometimes go there, have a sponsor, pay for a fight just to keep active. That might be something we have to start looking at if things don't open up in the next couple of months. So
I spoke to Jay about something. Jay's had a few letdowns, but a few like opportunities that might still come up. As I was saying, but we'll go through all the boxers that I know at least. You can add it in. Obviously Ahmed, So what would be going on with Ahmed if there was, is there potential for fights, or is it you need to wait until events start?
For Ahmed, he's kind of 13-2-1. He's got the Scottish title. He's on a brilliant unbeaten run. He just changed trainer, so he's adapted. You know, the outset it was fine because he just moved to Ross Money training him. So actually not jumping straight into a fight, probably a bit of a blessing in disguise. He was meant to contest the IBO title. The weekend lockdown was imposed, so that was obviously a blow. He'd done a full camp, all the investments, and kind of boxers of course kind of half spent their purse on their head before they've earned it. Like anyone's got a legitimate expectation. They go to work for a week, they expect to get paid on the Friday. Boxers can train for 8-10 weeks and then it just gets, the rug gets pulled, they don't get anything. So he's in a position where he's good to go because he's back in training with Ross now. They're getting used to one another. So if an opportunity arises and he holds the title, the Scottish title, it's super lightweight, but his ideal weight is lightweight. So if something comes up, he'll take it. Failing that, we'll get him going when my shows start. But Ahmed's one of the ones that I've kind of recently said to a couple of promoters, look, if something comes up, he's there. So Ahmed's always in the gym. Ahmed would never knock a fight back. When I got offered a fight,
the Harry Davis one, I was well when you phoned.
Yeah.
You weren't even in the UK when you were in Dubai.
Yeah, I was in Dubai. And then I arrived back, I think that day, and then we drove down and then came straight back. You know, we were up the road to see the main event on the telly. You know, so yeah, I was in Dubai, phoned him tomorrow, do you want to go? Yeah, I was on the night flight, came back, and then so that was mad. So that's I've had other fights like guys in Russia with like 100% KO ratios. The people are terrified, and it's my duty. If I get offered a fight, I have to tell the boxer. Some managers don't do that, but that can just lead to grievances down the line. Oh, you didn't offer me this. So it's my duty to put it to them and give my advice. You know, it's ultimately their decision. But I phone and say, look, I've been offered this. It's one of those. I'll take it. But then you have to really claw Ahmed back and say, no, we're not going it because of X, Y, and Z. But there's so many boxers starting the premise of, I'm not fighting a Russian in Russia in 3 weeks. Ahmed would, you know, if I said, Ahmed, I've got a fight in the gym tonight, Jamie's got a camera, but the guy's a couple of stone heavy, do you fancy it? He'd be down here. You know, it's great. Working with people like that is brilliant. If anything, I've got to hold him back. But yeah, if something comes up, we'll take it for Ahmed. With the right notice, the right fight. We're not just going to throw him in because he's got Utilitech, a great sponsor now. It gives him a bit of stability in respect of his training and everything else. So he's in a good place. He's a developing, learning fighter. So I don't want to just, you know, feed him to the lions at all. We'll see what happens.
And there has been opportunities that came up. Like, I mean, there's always been one thing or another that felt. I remember when he was at Radisson, the guy slipped, I think, after the weigh-in.
Yeah.
Pulled at the fight, and then you had the guy dislocate his knee down in Wales, and then the coronavirus just...
Yeah, he's had multiple things. That was Marek Laskowski fell on his way to the weigh-in. Then we've had... that was the
Celtic title, I think it was option in Wales.
Celtic title, British Eliminator. That fell off the week before, and then we've had this one there. There's been multiple things. Ahmed's not had the best of luck, but that's boxing, you know. So same with Ryan Collins. On Ahmed's part, he didn't make the weight for the first fight, but he won. They were meant to do the rematch, and then Collins has never boxed again. So certain things. Andrew Mackay and Ahmed was a fight we looked at, and then Andrew's had issues. He's not boxed again. So Ahmed's kind of missed out on several fights, but he's as I say, he didn't have an amateur career. He was Thai boxing, and then he did the white collar shows, the SK boxing events. So he's very much a kind of work in progress as a pro. So there's no huge rush. I kind of in my head he's like early 20s still, but he's obviously not. Need to get.
And he looks. I mean, he didn't grow hair in his face till he was about last year or so.
Exactly, I know. And even when he's out of shape, he's only got a 6-pack and not an 8-pack. So it's hard.
Ross Murray was quite a late boxer at the pro game and done unbelievably well.
Amazing.
And so like maybe that sort of maturity and like. And Ross being like from even a business perspective and being like somebody who can be in charge, because I know Ahmed's enjoying it just for like we've maybe seen each other once because he's moved into he's actually moved into Cash Fruit's flat. Do you think they've got us trying to push the two to start walking together a bit more? But so it'll be interesting to see what happens next. It's good sometimes just to change trainer because I know like he done so well with Andrew as well as now back in New Zealand.
Went back to New Zealand and again another COVID one. He was going to even go to Spain, then he got stranded ended up having to go back to New Zealand. But no, it's been good. Obviously, I trained Ahmed at the outset of his career. I was far too busy with the management and promotion. I'd taken him where I could, and then having different trainers is good. But really landing with Ross, I think, is great because I've touted Ross to be a good trainer for years, and now that his career's wound up, he's perfectly placed to take boxers on, and we'll see what he can do as a pro trainer.
So, Calvin
McCord, yeah.
Yep.
Another one, victim of COVID. You know, he'd sold all his tickets. Turnberry, everybody from there was coming out to see him.
Because that's a big event. That's a big selling event for him as well. He
massive. Yeah, he sells 3/4 of the tickets, and he's a big deal in Ayrshire, shall we say. Ready to go. Certain things in his training camps for previous fights he hadn't performed, and there were issues in camp that I knew about. I'd seen it in sparring. There were underlying issues, but he was fine to fight, but he was nothing like 100%. For this one, he was flying. So it was a big blow not to get the event, but Calvin's dusted himself off. He's been sparring Terry Flanagan, obviously world champion. The experience that's given has been fantastic. He sparred him up here, acquitted himself very well. Ahmed's had some rounds as well, and then Calvin thereafter's been going down to Manchester each week. So Calvin's young, you know, he's early 20s, he's in the development stage. So as frustrating as it is, I can see how focused he is and what he's doing in the gym. That COVID for someone like him, and to take another example, Dean Sutherland from Aberdeen, early 20s, during lockdown he's changed trainer to base himself up in Aberdeen, which made a lot of sense because he was working long hours and travelling kind of 3.5 hours a day for training. For the guys like that in their early 20s, this isn't really a big issue. I had them so busy anyway with all my events. They've kind of built up experience in a pretty compacted length of time. Calvin's already won a Scottish title, Dean's won a Celtic title, so they can kind of develop in the gym, and then they'll be good to go when we're back for events. So.
They have a lot, as I said, not just with the fans, but a lot back, and they've got sponsorship and that to support them.
Absolutely.
I think their families are all behind them fully as well.
Really supportive. And then what a lot of people aren't seeing right now is what is difficult for boxers is every business is under the cosh at the moment. Almost every. Some have done well. I mean, let's not get into the minutiae detail of it, but a lot of boxers have lost their sponsors. People haven't seen that. And also, if I'm sponsoring a boxer, as an arm's length business person, I want to see their logo on shorts, on fight night, etc. There's no fight nights, so there's nothing really to sponsor. Some have got loyal sponsors and been able to stick with them, and have wanted to stick with them, but it's been challenging for boxers too.
I was saying that to Jade, a lot of boxing gyms rely on small businesses to support them, maybe self-employed businesses and stuff. And when everybody taking the hit, it's something that I've even wanted to do with Hotspot, but it's like, we need to be making off. Rent is $4,500 a month, and we had to pay when we were shut.
Exactly.
And staff had to be paid, so it's like it's one of those things that you need to be in the right place to do.
Absolutely.
Right, Hanna rankin.
So Hanna has been training really hard. Hanna's as dedicated as any boxer, never mind in my stable, but I'd go as far as saying on the planet. She's obsessive. Our trainer Noel has to force her to take time out of the gym. Hanna had a great comeback win in February. We were geared up, it was looking like she was heading to the States, and then again COVID has changed everything. Within the last few hours we're coming to the sharp end of negotiations for a big fight for her, which will be next month. So I can't say any more than that, but we're almost over the line for a major fight for Hanna. So that's exciting, and she's been putting the work in, so we knew she was ready, and then the opportunities presented itself, and she's ready to grasp it.
I always say, and I've always seen this through when Ahmed was younger, I didn't recognise him when he stepped in the ring. Because he was a friendly, nice guy, and then when he's in the ring, he's just a completely different person. And Hanna is exactly like that. I listened to her, I heard her when it was one of the classic, I think it's Classical FM she posted. And you just get this totally different person. Or walk into the ring is scary. She looks like a totally different person. Again, it's part of the focus and the determination to get in the ring. And she's done. I mean, she headlined. It was the first ever UK show. Female headline.
To be televised, and first Scots woman to win a world title as well. So she's made history already, and that was Hanna. Came from a white collar background, taking the sport up late in the day again. So she's overachieved, like a Ross Murray. Whereas some boxers go in on the back of huge amateur pedigree and flop. I've got some of the boxers in my stable are overachievers, and I've got some who've fallen by the wayside recently. That if I gave you their names and showed you their amateur pedigree, and said hot spots to sponsor. You know, you'd pick these guys, and they've been the ones that haven't fulfilled their talent. So it just goes to show you that professional boxing is really quite unique, and it's very distinct from your amateur career and what you've done before. You know, you can make your name. Gary Jacobs is a prime example. I mean, he's here all the time, so I often make reference to him. But he had 12 amateur fights, and he fought the pound for pound best fighter on the planet for the WBC world title. That just is a definition of hard work paying off. You know, and obviously there's a huge element of skill and everything else. You know, he was obviously naturally gifted, but he's worked hard, and that's how he's got to where he did.
Is it easier? I mean, I know. I don't want to keep talking about him because that's all I talk about, but the route for him sometimes when he was trying to become pro, I think, like, if you want to remember, it was a bit difficult. Like, there was a lot of questions asked, can he box, can he do this, can he do that? When he was always a fighter, and as you said, he had the talent and that though. But is it difficult for somebody to go from like the white collar fights to professional? Yeah,
so part of when you apply to get a licence with the British Boxing Board of Control, on the application form it says send off amateur record card. If you do not have said amateur record card, you've got to prove that you can fight. And they used to do gym spars, which in theory is great because then the proof's in the pudding, you can see they can do it. There was insurance issues with that, so they had to pull that. Then they started doing gym assessments, which were in all honesty farcical. People were running on a treadmill for 5 minutes and hitting a bag. Gary Murray went to do his, and they didn't have any gloves, so he hit a punch bag with pads on, and that's how they ascertained whether or not he could box. So now it all comes down to the meeting. So it is difficult, but what I think is important for the board to do is to trust the manager. And as a professional person, they wouldn't put someone in that couldn't handle themselves. So like I've had it with several boxers that have came from different backgrounds, and one that sticks out is when Dean Sutherland went up, didn't have any amateur card, and they said, you know, we're not sure. And I said to them, trust me, the guy's had 150 kickboxing fights. He went undefeated for 5-6 years. You know, he's good to go. And then it was after his debut, I said to the guys in the Scottish area, I said, told you, and they were like, oh, you know. So it's quite good because you've got to have that, you know. And similarly, I've had boxers that have had, not to name anyone or slate anyone, but stinking performances. But you look at their CV on paper, they've got great records, you know, in terms of amateur, pro, and then they just stink the place out. So, it doesn't always, the two don't always follow, but yeah, the transition is more difficult when you've not got an amateur background, irrespective of where you're coming from.
Do you see a big difference between, I mean, I see it like the way sort of the amateurs run with tournaments and things like this, and then the professional side, where it's like, sometimes it's like a business, you have to you work hard, you have to make a name for yourself, and sometimes maybe people don't have always that confidence.
No.
And that can sometimes sway them. Even like Jade was talking about, he said he would rather fight in a ring which is in a stadium filled with people, because he's like he feeds off the people. And a lot of boxers are like that, and a lot of performance boxers are like that. They put on a show and it's great to watch, and that's why people buy the tickets to go see them. But that's kind of what amateur is. A lot of the tournaments, that's all they've done. And when they move into like a big game, big arena, I mean, what you've done last year with Rob Roy's show in the Crown Plaza, I thought was amazing. And it's good to see that, because boxers love it, the families love it, and it gives them that experience. The whole point even this day in interviews is to build that. Cash always said to me, I need to put a microphone in front of his face.
Exactly.
A pro boxer, and he's like, he didn't know how to speak. So do you see a big difference between, like, do people have to get their mindset ready to become a professional boxer even if they've been amateur?
Absolutely, because as you hit the nail on the head by saying it's a business. Ticket sales are a fundamental part of small hall boxing. The expectation is that the boxers sell tickets, and that fiscally pays for their fight, contributes towards the show. It's hard, it's expensive, and I'll be honest, as you know, I came into it from a white collar background, and I looked at what the pro promoters were doing, and I thought, they're at it with what they're saying in terms of the expenses, and I thought they weren't doing it right. And I think I was right in a lot of ways, because some of the shows were just, there's a ring plonked in the middle of a hall, let's have 5 prospect gentlemen fights, and it was rubbish. You know, I wouldn't pay for it, I wouldn't pay to watch it. But as you get into it and you realise the expenses are just so high, small hall boxing is hard to promote, fact. So the tickets do come into it, and it's not nice in some ways, because you can sometimes get a boxer who's super popular and can sell tickets, but they can't really fight. is going to actually find it a lot easier to progress to, let's say, 8, 10 and 0 than someone who can really fight but can't sell a ticket. But it's just the nature of it. It's very hard to get around it. I mean, you'll have seen it being good friends with Cash. Cash wasn't, you know, Cash is very well known now, but Cash isn't a ticket seller. It wasn't a ticket seller.
He never even told me about his first fight. He didn't sell one ticket for his first pro fight.
There we go.
And
case in point.
It was kind of like he didn't want us to be there.
Yep.
That's what, like, a lot of the stories he tells me now, when he was an amateur and he had to travel himself and stuff.
Yep.
I get annoyed because I'm like, you could have just told us and we would have helped you with that. But I suppose it's made him who he is, and every boxer's got their unique story and their background. And
exactly.
As I said, things like, I was speaking to Marc and Jay about the comfortability of the gym and how people look out for each other, and you get friends and stuff. Things like the gym and being able to come to the gym it helps with that.
Absolutely.
And that's why it's important to have a gym. I mean, I was saying it earlier about the kids class, when you got like actual kids coming in with their parents, and that also builds their relationship.
Absolutely.
And a fitness environment, the discipline, the environment and stuff. So that's why I love coming here. But I can see I'm not the only one.
Yeah, no, exactly. But this is the thing as well, is, I mean, for me, having the gym ties the loop in terms of if you're going to be in the boxing business, because if people want to meet me, they can come to the gym. I can see up and coming talent. I mean, I've signed 8 to 10 boxers during lockdown. I've got no events, but I've signed a lot of boxers. Some coming from different backgrounds, some pros that are kind of, you know, out of contract coming over, some looking to turn pro from different backgrounds, some good amateurs, some guys that have been out the ring for a long time but have got experience. So I've got a lot of people there, but if I didn't have the gym, then it's very difficult to assess and kind of keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on. We've got lots of different amateur gyms coming here for sparring, so it builds the relationship with them. You mentioned Rob Roy. I did the promotion with them last year. We were planning actually getting 2 more done this year, but obviously it hasn't happened due to COVID. But we've got all these plans. I was going to be doing a show with Doon Valley as well. So I'm really for me, merging the pro and amateur, and they're now allowing pro-am shows, which I think's a game changer. So I really want to be at the forefront of that.
Well, I went to one up in
Glenrothes.
Aye, you've done that one. It was 2 female fights I had on for the pro, but first one I went, I didn't think it was allowed. Secondly, the electricity cut off 5 times during the event. Always the best event. But I was warned, like Craig Stevens warned me before I went, no, this is going to be a nightmare. There was no space to film. But it was one of the things, I think, when I seen the Rob Roy show, it's something that can work. Because they have a lot of boxers, and a lot of it's the same way in Glasgow City. No, they had male boxers sitting watching the fights, and they could
exactly.
So moving up a gear and having shows like that, as I said, it helps even with the development of the boxers, when they get used to that. They get used to the environment of being in front of people.
Absolutely.
And plus everybody, people love it.
Yeah, that's it. And I like with the other element of the gym for me is being able to keep my finger on the pulse with talent, but also maintaining contact with my boxers. If they're in sparring, then I get to see them, I get to speak to them, and I know that I've been involved with other boxers when I was just doing the training side of things, that I've had a manager that they didn't have a great relationship with, and they wouldn't see them terribly often, and they'd be nervous about picking the phone up. I'd never want to have that. I want people to have open dialogue. So if I'm here, I can see them, and then also it offers a platform. Like Jay is getting into it more now, but Marc, for instance, his full-time job is in here. She's a personal trainer, and it complements being a pro boxer perfectly. So that's always been my aim, and it's coming to fruition now, which is great. Seeing that.
I've been here the last few days, and obviously seeing you with Adam comes on these days, off with Rob Roy. You've got the pads and that out with him. You go running with some of the boxers. So it's your name's on the walls and on the door, but you're very much a part of this gym, and it's I think everybody knows that, and it's like you're very approachable, like to go and. I've even asked you a few questions that I need help with and things like that in the past, that you've always just just to pick up the phone.
No, that's it. We just want to collaborate. I personally like to collaborate with people, and we spoke about a thing that I'll not say what it is because it's a really good idea. I don't want anyone to cut a grass, but I want to do that, and I'll be honest. If I'm being perfectly honest, I was involved, as you know, with a different setup previously, and it wasn't just me, and I was pulled in too many directions, and I lost sight of what was important to me. But I've realised, and lockdown's heightened that how much I value the gym, and like, you know yourself, not seeing people. I think we spoke a couple of times maybe during lockdown, but just, and you're always about every gym, and you know, it's a big part of people's lives, and it's different for people. Like, obviously this will go on for hours because I talk like mad. You know, some people go places and they don't, you know, on a daily basis, they don't speak to many people, you know, and so I think like the whole boxing community and the gym is important. So for me, I like being here. I'm trying to be here more. I've got a young family, so it's sometimes hard to come at night by virtue of the fact the gym's busy at night, but I'm just kind of making that commitment. And right now, I'm not as pressurised as I usually am because I've not got events. I've just got the management side and the gym side. So while I can, I'm really kind of investing my time in the gym. And you've got a good team here. I mean, people stick with the gym. There's people who've been here for years, and it's like you can walk in, and it is friendly. It is that sort of friendly gym environment that, as I said, you get so many different people coming for. Like, you won't know. I seen that post about it was after Black Lives Matter saying you won't. There could be a police officer or a criminal or whatever in the gym, and you wouldn't know. And that's the whole point of the gym. That's what I'm saying about, like, there's so many things, and like came up through COVID, like Black Lives Matter, and everything else, and there's so many, I feel, divisive topics that people really need to appreciate sport in general. But obviously, I'm a strong proponent of how great boxing is. But any sport, if you're just in something, people really do see beyond that, you know. And I know that I don't want to get into this whole thing and saying, oh, you don't see colour, but you do see colour. I'm not going to talk about that, but boxing gyms are just great for that. Like, you've seen over the last 3 days being here, every walk of life walking through the door, nobody gets treated any differently, you know. We don't have that thing either where, you know, people come in, oh, you know, you're getting pushed off a punch bag, or there's a professional in, and that element, it stinks. People, and you know, the people that are kind of the most able in a boxing context are the guys like, you name any one of my pro boxers, that's not picking out by name, or like someone I don't manage, Cash. You would walk in and you'd never know. You know, they just come in and they fit in with everybody, and they're always keen to help. So yeah, that's the key element about the gym for me, is everybody's on a level playing field, and people walk in here as well. I want people to know, if I can get any message across, is anyone can come to the gym. Like, anybody, doesn't matter. Like, there was a woman in last week, is in ill health by virtue of, you know, not looking after herself, and she was nervous about coming down, and she's loved it. She's booked in, she's back this week. You know, like, anybody, doesn't matter if it's your first time ever exercising, you don't have to want to box, but that's what we really want. The more people that come through the door that are just from varying backgrounds, the better for me, you know.
There's so many people messing me even since I put the wee promo up. They're like, oh, that's my gym, that's my gym. There's people I know that I don't even realise. I forgot to mention Paul Keane.
Yep.
Because I'm planning to go up to Scats. They've got a new gym up in Scats. So we're ending Paul, because his whole family's, I think every level of his family's in. He's got a kid as well.
Yep.
But Paul, in fact, we spoke about Monty as well.
No, Monty's in their gym now though, so Monty's up there.
So I'll go up and I'll see them in Dundee. But just final thoughts on the two fights that happened with both Monty and Paul.
I'll start with Monty being the most recent. Louis Lynn, a fight that was a hard fight. Monty didn't really get going. Lynn started fast, but the punches which ended the fight were illegal blows. Fact. The commentators on the night said that analysis of the fight thereafter revealed it, and if you look at like comments on YouTube from neutral social media platforms, I've raised it in an official capacity with the board, because I believe the fight ended with virtual illegal punches, and that's not sour grapes by any stretch of the imagination. On his best day, based on how that fight started, was Monty going to beat Louis Lynn? No. But did he land illegal punches when he was on the ground? Yes. On 2 instances. My point of reference was the Charlie Edwards fight. He was hit with one body shot on the ground, could not continue, and they reversed the decision in the ring. Whereas it's happened to Monty, and I've been told it's going to be looked at the end of September. Now, I can't speak ill of the body which governs me, and you know, I've got a licence with the British Boxing Board of Control, but are they going to do anything? No. And do I think that's wrong? Yes. I've got to speak my mind, and I've got to stick up for my boxer, and he fell foul of illegal blows in that fight, and I really feel sorry for him. But he didn't start well. you know, his tactics looked off, and Paul thought the same. I spoke to Paul, you know, after it, and Monty himself acknowledged that.
I've heard you sometimes when Ahmed is maybe came out the ring and you went, no, listen, that's the last time you're going to be like, you're going to get fit, you're going to, and you have to have that sort of discipline and toughness. Your boxer, you're always honest, so there's no like you would go down this route unless you felt like there was something you'd experienced and watching pro fights yourself.
Yeah, so. No, there's something there, and it's like I say, it's not sour grapes. It's just, it is what it is. Like at the weekend there, Corey McCullough got beat first round. It was boxing nicely, got caught with a body shot, perfectly placed punch, fair play. Elliot Whale won, all fine. You know, nobody's going to complain about it. And I just try and give an honest critique with the boxers. I don't want boxers becoming delusional either. You know, and thinking, you know, if I go and defend every time they lose, that's not doing anybody any justice. But so I've really felt sorry for Monty with that. But having spoken to him, he considered his position in boxing. He does want to box on, and I really want to get Monty a shot at the Scottish title. So that's my goal. Get him a good 50-50 Scottish area fight, and then win, lose or draw, he can go out. And something that I've acknowledged recently is if a boxer can go out with a title, then they've got something tangible to go out with. You know, if the curtain drops for any boxer at any given time because of an injury or anything else, if they've got a title, they've got something. And I know a lot of ex-boxers who don't have that and they resent it, and what I've learned over my relatively short period of time in the pro game is just that, the value that there is in getting a title. So I want to get Monty that. He wants it, and I'm going to push for it, a Scottish title fight for him. Paul Keane, Hamza Shiraz. Paul didn't perform. He'd be open about that. But again, even on his best day, I think Shiraz would have edged it. But I really thought Paul was going to ask a lot of questions of him because of Paul's movement, his style, the fact that he had a good camp going into it, everything, you know, was kind of geared up for a good performance, and we really fancied the fight. But Paul has been the first to admit he doesn't make excuses. But when I saw him at the weigh-in, I must admit, I thought, I'm not sure here. And I did see him sparring before it, and he felt a bit flat. He made a mistake in terms of weight making, but it had significant bearing on the fight. Although it wouldn't have changed the outcome, if you understand what I'm saying there. Yeah. I think Shiraz on his night, I wouldn't take anything away from him because I think he's a great prospect, especially how young he is. Paul would have ran him closer, and Paul's a much better fighter than he showed that night. And Paul's been straight back in the gym. Paul's really positive, and as you say, they've also got this fantastic new facility up in Dundee at Skyax, and he's looking to come back from it. So it's just like a tale of woe with the COVID's kind of ruined my life, you know. We had the Caird Hall booked in Dundee, massive show for Paul, was meant to be this weekend actually. You know, we're going to sell the Caird Hall out. You know how popular Paul is. I've got Jamie Wilson as well, obviously a former opponent of Cash's, being your friend, so you know Jamie, British title challenger on a couple of occasions. A lot of boxers from the area, Corey McCullough, Arbroath, Dean in Aberdeen. You know, we're going to do a massive show in Dundee, but it's been pushed back due to COVID. I've been trying to get in the Caird Hall since I first started promoting pro boxing, actually, because I'm from Perth originally, obviously, so I've kind of always known the Caird Hall and wanted to go there, but I couldn't get in due to various factors. But I'm in, and I just can't run in September. So next year, Caird Hall, we're going to build Paul back up. What I want to see him achieve is get back on track with his performances, win, get a title fight in Dundee, and then we'll try and push him back onto that kind of TV platform thereafter. That's my plan for Paul, but he'll bounce back, and my relationship with the Sky Gym's a strong one. There's a couple of other boxers coming from there that are going to be turning pro, and I look forward to working with them.
So the Caird Hall, my restaurant used to just be literally the street down for the Caird Hall,
really?
so I know how much a big deal it would be. Plus, Paul has a massive following.
Huge.
There's mates that when I didn't know Paul when I was in Dundee, but I've got mates, postmates that know him, and that have came to your shows and banged into me at the shows, and I'm like, well, he's doing really lucky to see Paul.
It's a shame for people from places like Dundee that have to travel, like every fight's in Tunbury, you know, Ayrshire, Glasgow. They're always on the road.
I think they love it. I think
they do love the nights out. But I think a couple of shows a year in Dundee will be key. And then especially there's a couple of good prospects in Perth. I'd love to bring a Perth boxer through because I'm from there, you know. And if I've got that already set up for Dundee, it's going to help the kind of whole region, like Tayside. Monty's from Killin's quite handy for Dundee as well, you know. So there's a lot. It's a totally different region. I think we could pull a lot of talent from. So that's my kind of key core. I'm all about Scottish boxing, you know. I'm not looking at this from I manage a Swedish boxer and I manage an Iranian guy who lives in Dubai, Mo Ali. these relationships develop organically. And I manage the boxers, and that's great. But my focus is on Scotland and boxing to a great extent. At this moment in time, in particular, a West Coast of Scotland sport, and I want to get away from that. I want to get the shows in Dundee. I tried to do Dumfries again. COVID kind of knocked that on the head too, but I'm open to doing that because I've got Dennis Broadhurst awaiting his debut, Chris Wood obviously knocking on the door for titles, and then up in Aberdeen I'm already promoting along with David McAllister, and then get up to the Highlands and do some shows with Gary Kynoch involved. So for me it's about Scottish boxing, but Scottish boxing should be reflective of Scotland as a country, which is quite expansive. Don't just do shows in Glasgow. I'm not going to just knock Crown Plaza out every month, you know.
I love the Crown Plaza.
It is great, but
I love the Paisley Lagoon. Listen, I'm losing my voice.
Sorry, I could go all day, but
I've been there that I don't even know if I'm not allowed any fruit juice in those. I take reactions to it sometimes, but it's the only drink I've got. Listen, Sam, thanks again. We're still going to speak to a few people. You will be the last interview, because I'm going to speak to Dylan. So thanks so much for speaking to me.
I'll go and do my training session now.
Perfect, my man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers, Jamie.
So that's it from JTV Raw Friday Night Boxing. We'll be back next week. Make sure you are sharing and liking our videos. We do appreciate it. If you do want us to come to your gym, or you want to drop in the office for an interview, drop us a WhatsApp on 07933 860 363. Until then, have a good weekend, and I will see you very, very soon.
Celebrate.